Hello, everyone. Welcome to Zen and Fanfics. Today we are featuring part 2 of What If Deku Was Mirko's Son with Leveling System? The story is written by Wolf React on Wattpad. Before we start, please like and subscribe for more content. Now, let's dive into the story. Deku looks at the ceiling, his eyes narrowing. He kept up and looks at the other two occupants in his room. The Deku hears frantic knocking on the door and walks to it. He pulls out Blue Rose and holds it to the back of the door and slowly opens the door. He sees Melty shaking and pale. Deku gestures for her to keep quiet, and she quietly sits on his bed. Deku explained, "Melty, my sister Malty poisoned me, and I don't feel right. I can't keep my food down, and I've been coughing up BLD every so often." As she says that, she starts coughing out BLD. Deku pat her back gently. After a minute, she finally stopped coughing, and Deku pulls out a red vial. You gently leans her head back, gently pours the liquid down her throat. Deku lays her down for a minute as a small glow of green light envelopes her body. Deku, this is going to come and bite me in the butt. Melty, I'm sorry I didn't ask for your help back then, but I didn't think she would go this far. Deku, she wants the throne. She has Motoyasu wrapped around her fingers. The king is on her side, since she claims it's to get rid of me and the other heroes to dense to understand this world. It would be easier if I just killed them. Melty, then why haven't you have the power for it? Deku, let's walk. They head outside of the inn. Under walking around the small village, Deku and Melty sit up next to a tree watching the sunrise. Deku, I want to. Really do. Melty, I assume there's a but? Deku, well, I'm going to tell you a story. Melty, I'm all ears. Deku, 200 years ago in my world, a baby was born glowing at the same time another kid was able to ignite his fists into flames. On that day, 20 people globally awakened an ability. The scientists called it a quirk. After that day, more people were awakening quirks rapidly. Within 10 years, 10% of the global population had a quirk. Over the years, the percentage of quirked individuals got higher, until 200. Years later, less than 7% of the global population didn't have a quirk. They were known as quirkless. In our time, we have this number one hero called All Might. He was known as the symbol of peace in the public size, but he stepped in since a father died. Not even a year later, the symbol of peace had a daughter with the son's mother. When they went to the court doctor to see what unique ability the kids have awoken, but daughter was born with a powerful telekinesis quirk, able to lift massive objects with ease, but it would not work on anything. Living in the son was born quirkless for 2 days. The son never had anything to eat because, according to the parents, the gifted child needs the energy, not some failed genes. On that day, when they were on the way home, the son got locked out of the house, and the father told him to get lost. There was no spacebook quirkless in their family. The son was sat out there for multiple hours until the son got the hint and left. The boy was on the streets fending for himself. Barely a year in, and some drunk guy with a glass bottle sliced the kid's eye for trying to get some food. The injury got infected, and the kid survived another year on the streets. The kid could barely breathe, crawl inside a bin, and waiting for death. Then the rabbit hero found him, took him to the hospital, and got him patched up. But the rabbit hero's friends suggested they head back to the parents' house to ask about the injury. When they got there, the family didn't even care that the kid was still breathing. They told the rabbit hero that the kid should have died since quirkless and mainly used for powerful quirk users to have a better version of their quirk with the next generation of the bloodline. The kid was in the hospital for around 4 weeks before the infection went down, but causing partial blindness in the kid's eye. The rabbit hero gave the kid two options: go to an off niche or get adopted by her. The kid chose to get adopted by her. The kid was shy at first, barely talking to anyone, but he met free friends. One could create mushrooms, bunkered shrink, and grow any non-living object, and the last one had good eyesight that could zoom in and out like a telescope. One day, as the boy was walking home, he entered this dungeon, placed the statues, and they were twice the size of him, and he got killed in there multiple times. There was some sort of magic in there bringing him back at the exact second he died in a specific spot. The boy spent hours figuring out all of the puzzles and managing to escape. The boy woke up with a system and was given power beyond his imagination. I was that kid. Deku turns to Melty to see her crying. Deku pat on the back. Melty, how can you still stay sane after all that? Deku's shield changes into the rage shield, his right arm turning into his devil trigger. Deku, with some trust issues, I only have a handful of people I trust. These days the list keeps getting shorter. It's not that I don't trust you. Power brings people to their knees. Melty, so why do you keep seeking more power? Deku, I want to create a world where life is as convenient as I wish it to be. A comfortable world where everyone can laugh and enjoy their lives as much as possible. That's what I truly and honestly want. Ideals without power are nonsense, and power without ideals is empty, right? I'm a greedy guy, but I don't have an interest in seeking power just for the sake of power, without the ambition to do something with it. Melty, I see that it is a good moral to live by. Deku looks to see the forest starting to burn. He notices all the villagers have left. That's when Philo and Raphtalia, they start walking out of the village under the cover of night. They enter a cave filled with monsters, but Deku lights out his demonic aura, making all of the monsters back away from them. They continue to walk down the cave. They set up camp way deep in it. Deku, hey Melty, what are these stars next to Philo and Raphtalia levels? They've been capped up 40 for a while now. Melty, it looks like they're going to need a class upgrade. You get that from the Dragon Hourglass. Raphtalia, I see. But what were you two talking about before the fire? Philo, you don't keep secret from us. Deku, I'll tell you another day. Right now, we're currently being chased by the 3 heroes, and the royal guards were to keep moving. If I remember correctly from Shadow Garden, there's a kingdom that mainly prefers demi-humans across the border to south. We'll set off in the morning. I'll keep watch with my shadows. Rest of you get some sleep. Deku leans against a boulder, his eyes scanning over his system. He notices that it's changed from blue to purple and black. Deku continues to scan over his system, noticing that apart from he can now use touch screen as well as voice activation, everything else mainly stays the same. He looks at the key he got from that new dungeon. Deku slowly gets up and stores the key. He slightly taps Melty with his foot. Deku, where we need to go, they'll be here in 5 minutes. Melty, how do you know? Deku, I have some shadows set up outside. We'll be leaving immediately. They all get up and start walking out the back, and Deku stops and notices the other free heroes pointing at their weapon at Motoyasu, start going on a rant about him brainwashing Princess Melty. Deku tunes it out and immediately holds a shield right in front of Melty's face as a fireball hits his shield. Deku sees Melty with a purple mana circle in her hand, forming more fireballs. Rim, listen, brainwashing somebody's bad enough, but killing an entire church just because you have the power to. You're no hero, you're just a villain with power. Deku turns around to see his party locked up in cages while being unconscious. That's when a fireball hits Deku right in the face, blinding him for a few seconds. That's when Deku notices all of the soldiers and heroes have gone, including his party. Deku clenches his fist as his rage shield activates with his entire right arm ignite into black flames. Deku snaps his fingers as he senses them at a mansion not far from him. Deku's shadow extend as Igris and Baru step out, their faces showing anger. System, Igris is ranked up. Igris, what's our next move, my lord? Deku, after that day, I killed Slugger. I promised to never kill a human unless absolutely necessary. But today this kingdom is going to be in ruins. Deku slowly walks forward. After every step his shadow extends into a triangle. Every one step, it extends with 5 shadows. Stepping out, Deku stands with the view of the mansion in the distance. This is way more guards than usual, including the free heroes. Deku taps his foot once on the ground before it completely cracks beneath him. All the guards look in Deku's direction and sees an entire void of glowing purple eyes. That's when a huge pillar of purple energy shoots up as Deku transforms into his Devil Trigger. His purple wings spread in the moonlight, making or of them occupants in the mansion feel the pulse of energy. Deku summons his motorbike as Igris hops on it with his sword on his back. He regs the engine twice, and Deku looks towards him. Deku, a bike suits you. Now we know who our allies are, and we know who our enemies are if they stand in your way. No mercy. Deku spread his wings and flaps his wings once a sonic boom happens as he bolts it straight towards the mansion. Sonic runs right next to him and immediately spin dashes. Deku immediately boots Sonic like a football. It hits the wall, creating a huge crater, and 50 guards immediately point now weapons at Deku. He pulls out Venom Stagger and Night Slayer. Before anything could be said, Deku immediately slices all of them into pieces. He swings his arm down, bloods splattering everywhere. He continues to walk in chaos and brewing as shadows appear and slaughter them. Even the skeletons are slaughtering them with ease. Motoyasu screams and then fires a huge light-based attack right at Deku. Casually grabs the spear out of midair. Before it could even hit him, Deku shrubs the spear into his infantry, making Motoyasu's eyes widen as his body starts to tremble. Flaps his wings, darting right in front of him. Deku punches him straight in the chest, making his heart fly out of his back. Deku looks at his body and kicks it to one side before continuing walking. All of the enemies start to shake, and you can smell a few of them shat themselves. Screamed, "I heard," as all of the knights are getting massacred. Deku walks to the mansion's front door and sees hundreds of layers of defensive magic enough to withstand a few of All Might punches at 100%. Deku put his hand on the door and tacks, closing it. The door breaks instantly, and he continues to walk. A bunch of angelic knights chug, avoid black potion making. Their bodies buffer slightly, and they rush at Deku. He sidesteps their attack. They immediately get at by Veldora, and the Deku continues to walk through. He is crying right above him, and he simply jumps, breaking through the floor. He sees a fat nobleman with Philo tied up on his bed naked, while the nobleman has a creepy grin before going pale. While turning towards Deku, Deku looks at her body to see a bunch of burnt marks and a branded mark just above her. Deku lets out a subconscious growl before grabbing the noble by the neck and slamming him to the wall. "Deku, if you have my daughter, I will make these last 2 seconds of your life torture." "Noble, you interrupted me before I could even get started, you filthy devil of a shield." Deku's hand ignites with black flames. The noble screams in agony that could be heard through the entire mansion. The screaming lasts for 2 seconds before Deku drops here, black skeleton, to the ground. He looks down at the body. System shadow extraction cannot be used. Soul has been completely disintegrated. No chance for resurrection by any means. For purple swords of pure energy shoot straight at Philo. They immediately stop Splitter and hit all of her restraints, reducing them to ash. Deku closes his eyes for a second before walking out. Philo right behind him, slightly shaking. Deku snaps his fingers as Alpha appears and notices the state of Philo. Her eyes narrow before she takes Philo and heads out of the building. You continues to walk through the building, blasting open every door with a soul sword. He is standing in front of the last room where he screams coming from. He immediately summons a small. Here comes the sun in the palm of his hand and nukes the door, making it explode. He sees a young noble kid completely naked and is trying to force himself on a Raftalia. Well, Melty is chained up, looking broken, covered in burn marks, and a metal rod placed on her chest. Well, steam is coming off. Deku shoots a mana sword straight towards her, it immediately evaporating the metal, and diffuse eyes grow with the fury of 1,000 suns. The noble kid immediately grabs an artifact sword off the wall and points it towards Deku, his hands shaking in fear. Deku walks up to the sword and taps his finger to it. It immediately reduces to dust, and Deku immediately grabs the noble kid by the throat and summons 4 soul blades that hit Raftalia's restraints. Veldora burst through his shadow, destroying the roof of the building. Melty and Raftalia immediately hop on Veldora's back, while Deku is stood there still with the noble kid's throat in his hand. He looks around to see the only people that are left here is his shadows and himself, with all of the guards. Alpha stands right behind him, her expression serious. "Alpha, everything is secure. All their slaves currently at your village. The free heroes' bodies have been moved by magic. I could track them down for you, but I think you're going to want to deal with them yourself, and it is just us." And then a mana circle with a cybernetic pattern slowly extends across the floor, enveloping the entire mansion. We see the other 3 cardinal heroes being revived by Phoenix Tears, with multi-study shaking when she sees the cybernetic pattern reach past the clouds. Deku's voice is heard even from their distance. "Deku, I'm the commander of the shadows. I am the monarch of death. You have made the biggest mistakes of your short lives, attacking my party in these last moments of your life. Not even a death has any mercy for you. I am the all-ranging atomic Sky forms a nucleus symbol before the manor circle disappears for exactly 0.2 seconds. Then a huge pillar of purple light shoots straight up in the beam of purple light, a flash of orange, red, and yellow. Before a minute later, it finally stops. And the only thing that's left there, it's the floating figure of Deku with his hand on a skull that reduces to powder. Deku's eyes lock with the free heroes and Malti before Valtora appears beneath him, and he just steps on Valdora's Park, his devil trigger. Deactivating Veldora flies away. The other free heroes are stood there completely pale, with Motoyasu sat there in a puddle of his own SHD. It's Suki. We all agree we could have died with no respawns. Rem, I thought there was a small gap between us, not whatever that is. Motoyasu. He punched my heart out of my body, and I was still alive for 5 minutes. Malti. That can't be the power of the demon or a devil. We see Deku flying towards the ocean. His expression is one of concern and anger. Deku. Igris, so you were the last Shadow Monarch soldier. Igris, more like left hand. Ashbourne was a good commander. His strategy mainly consumed of overwhelming them and hitting them with everything we got without holding back. Deku. Fine chance did he have a woman with him all the time? Igris returns to Deku's shadow without saying anything. Deku is confused, but then a E-rank dungeon key appears in his hand. They land and decide to quickly just wipe out this dungeon, and Deku opens the gate. Unstepped through inside is a cave, and Deku can scent hundreds of different kinds of creatures, mainly insect-based. He slowly starts walking any creatures that get close, getting paled by one of his soul blades halfway through. He feels aura the same as the Demon Monarch had. Deku continues to walk in the direction of the aura and comes across the same female as who was with Ashbourne. She looks around confused when she feels Deku's aura, then their eyes lock. He walks toward her, his eyes narrowing. She stops for a second, then starts walking around him, sniffing him. She stops in front of him. System. Hidden quest: find the wife of the Monarch of Shadows completed. Reward: the ring of server can link one creature's soul. Doesn't matter how strong into it, then that soul will be completely SBM with no harm coming to the wield by any means. I see Ashbourne give you a system to control his abilities more freely, and so you could track your progress, but I also see you have the Black Heart. Igris. Lady Coratia, it has been a while. Coratia. I see Igris has joined your ranks, and I see you have grown up from that weak boy that's went into the architect's place. Deku. I'm sorry, how do you know this? Coratia, who do you think gave Ashbourne the idea for a system? And I've been monitoring you through the system. I have thrown in a few quests now, and again with some reward that are in my power. And who do you think gave you the Black Heart of Carnage? Deku, the reason why there's a demon who wants my kids and will do literally anything for it. What about the Phoenix quest? Deku watches her nod, and his eyes dim. They both sit down, and she starts explaining everything about how she's been helping him and how she absolutely despised the idea given by the architect, but she couldn't do anything about it. She then also explains about her giving Deku the heaven-based quest, but she doesn't like the demons but doesn't mind having the Phoenix as her wife as well. Deku, let me get this straight. You gave me the Phoenix quest because you don't mind getting some action with a Phoenix. Coratia, nah. But on the other note, what's going to happen with the two of us? Deku, I could just leave you here. It wouldn't do anything to me. But at the same time, you know about this than I do. Show obviously, for I have control over your soul, meaning anytime you even try to betray me or accidentally try and hurt me, you'll immediately be negated. They both cut their fingers and drop their BLD into the ring. A small glow happens as the ring attaches itself to Deku's ring finger. That's when Coratia's neck. They head out of the dungeon. Deku looks at the gate of the dungeon, still being open. He puts his hand through the gate, and Cat's here. Comes the sun before walking away. Valder slowly arises out of Deku's shadow. They both hop on Valdora's back as Valdoria flies towards the village. The flight back to the village is quiet. Deku, so what is this Black Heart exactly? Coratia. Well, it looks like you haven't even started the stages of it. There are a few stages to complete it, but the free ones that will make it fully complete, you need a Monarch's domain, not like what makes your shadow stronger. It's a place outside of time where you can literally manipulate it as it's your own space. The next one is you need his former army, and last, but not least, you need your human heart to stop beating. System. Free new quest. Quest 1 Monarch Space. Purchase a space. Sacrifice 1000 M.P for every 500 meters you add. Reward Shadow Monarch's Army. Quest 2 Shadow Monarch's Army. Completing this quest will give you access to his old army and his soldiers. Quest 3 No Longer Human. In order to complete this quest, your human heart must stop in the battle reward. Awaken Monarch. Deku opens the shop and sees the skill crystal with the skill he was looking for. He spends 100,000 gold for the skill. He grabs it and crushes it. The energy forming around his hand before appearing in his body. Valdora disappears as Deku and Quirrell free fall for a few seconds before a black portal appears beneath Deku, and they both fall through. They both land gracefully in a barren field with grass. Deku looks at the night sky, and he sees the area feels pretty small. Deku clenches his fist as mana exploding from his body. Deku sees the entire field extend free, mails the grass, slowly turns green as stars begin to shine in the sky. System. Quest 1 completed. Shadow Army will arrive. Your dimension has reached 3.5 miles in all directions. Citizen 0 of 583. M.P will not regenerate well inside of the storage space. 3 buildings unlocked. First purchase is free. Building 1. Castle of the Shadows. Inside of the castle, you will regenerate 1% of H.P per second. Friendlies will have a 50% increase of all stats. Building 2. Laboratory. Build a laboratory inside of your space. Inside the laboratory, you can upgrade weapons, create new species, and new skill crystals. Building 3. Warehouse. An infinite warehouse that can store any item, no matter how big or small. Any item put in the warehouse will stay in the exact state it was selected in there. Free token allows for 1 building for free. Deku. Purchase Castle of the Shadows. System. Supplies for arrive and Shadows will begin construction in 10 minutes. Estimated time 3 days till castle is completely built. Other buildings cannot begin construction till one is complete. Deku wraps his hand around Quirrell's waist and teleports right behind SBO. Everybody stands there in confusion before Deku snaps his fingers, putting Quirrell inside of the ring. Deku, how are they? Cash. They immediately went into their rooms and went straight to sleep. Rampage. What about the people that did this? Deku. Reduced to atoms. Deku is getting ready to leave again, but he sees Melty, Philo, and Raphtalia stuck there still covered in scars, and is ready to go. Deku raises an eyebrow. Melty, that would leave most people afraid, but Philo, Papa didn't raise a quitter. Deku, are you sure? If that happens again, I won't be able to stop myself. Raphtalia, if we stay here, MSTR, we will show that they broke our spirits. And besides, we all know you'll come to our rescue with an army. Deku, Alex Tank Iron. As Deku says that, the shadows appear right next to him before anyone could say anything. The shadows immediately leap into the shadows. Philo getting Alex, Melty getting Tank, and Raphtalia getting Iron. Free regular knights hop out of their shadows, slightly bowing before entering Deku's shadow. Mirko, explain. Deku, well, day 1 I realized my shadows can enter other people's, so I have 1 shadow in all of your shadows, so I can keep track of you. Philo explains how you could find us without knowing our location, but why wasn't they used to attack? Deku, if we're talking levels, they're around level 10, meaning I mainly use them for patrol and lookout. That's when the Philolial Queen walks in, her expression serious, but slightly annoyed. Deku, forgot we have to meet. Philo, this is the Philolial Queen. I want you to hear her out before you make your decision. Everybody else leaves the room, leaving Deku, the Philolial Queen, Melty, Philo, and Raphtalia in the room. Deku, go ahead. Philolial Queen. Well, I'm getting old, and I think it's about the time I pass on their mantle of being Queen of the Philolial. And I have chosen you, Philo. Philo, I'm good. Philolial Queen. Excellent, now I show dash. Hold on, what? Philo, no thanks, I'm good. Deku, just as I expected. Philolial Queen, but why? You will become immortal. Philo, sound boring. And besides, I don't want to leave Papa. Philolial Queen. Fine, but I do have to warn you, there's a strong being out there somewhere. I felt its magic power before, and it was way stronger than anything I've ever seen. Deku, probably me. Philolial Queen. There was a huge mountain with a mansion on it yesterday, and now there's a crater with mutated monsters. Deku, SHD looks like the radiation mutated the monsters. Wonder if they give good XP. Philolial Queen, I would believe you, but I'm gonna need some proof. One of Shadow Mage's steps out with a crystal ball and plays the entire video of the whole situation from beginning to end. The Philolial Queen is sat there slightly shaking. She expected a Deku to be powerful, but not that powerful. Philolial Queen, listen, please try and make up with the heroes. I know it now, you don't need their help, but they need your help. System, new quest Pope's betrayal. The Pope of the Free Heroes Church has just tried to kill 2 of the free cardinal heroes. He is coming for the player and the last cardinal hero to summon new hero that he can manipulate. Reward made of the Phoenix effects are known until quest is complete. Penalty if all 3 cardinal heroes at that the player's M.P will be reduced by 50% permanently, including all stats reduced by 25. Deku, looks like I need to step in. Melty, may I know what made you change your mind? Deku, got a quest. Philolial Queen, right before I leave, I have some information that will be very valuable to you about the 12 vassal weapons. They're like the cardinal weapons, except they aren't limited, and they can be found anywhere. I only know where one is, but there's also Excalibur, are 2 swords once located under the deepest lake in this kingdom, and the other one is located inside of the Free Cardinal Church in the kingdom. One guy's look closed, which I own. She pulls out the gauntlets with Wolverine-type claws on them and hands them to Philo, puts them on, and gives him a test swing. Philolial Queen, it's a good thing I know how to disable mine, because the only other ways to get them off somebody who's wielding them is to kill them all their death. Deku, Shadow Garden might have some info on these 12 vassal weapons. Philolial Queen, one more thing before I go. Excalibur isn't a vassal weapon, meaning it doesn't follow the same rules as the others, and you can only have 3 vassal weapons on each hero's party. Deku watches as she leaves that you sits down, his legs crossed well in a thinking position. Deku, Jackie, do you have any information about these vassal weapons? Jackie, apart from the ones that she knows about, I know where 2 are located. There is a cave next to the first angelic church of the heavens there. There is a cave behind the building. I'm not sure which one is down there, because it was heavily guarded, and unlike the cardinal weapons, the vassal weapons choose their owners. If the weapon rejects you, it will slowly start eating away at your life force. And the stuff is currently being held by the king. Deku, that's good information to know. Might be able to cheat the system. Raphtalia, what are you talking about? Deku, seaside free weapons per hero. But Excalibur doesn't follow that rule. But my shadows don't class as part of my party, so I might be able to have all 12, including Excalibur, on me at all time. Melty, I don't know what to say on one. If it doesn't work, you still have your army and whatever power you have. But if that works, you will have all of the battle weapons Excalibur and your army all in the palm of your hand. Philo, well, now we know where 4 of the vassal weapons are. Deku, he steps out of the shadow bowing. Deku, you heard the lady, find this old church and get the vassal weapon from within. Take 12 ants with you, fall better recon. Igris, take Cavalier. I hate this lake. Don't touch the sword and store it in my infantry. A motorbike rev is heard before Igris comes flooring out of Deputy Shadow through the open window on his motorbike, the ant's head flying straight out the window, only leaving a black streak behind them. Raphtalia, and the last 2. Deku, we're heading for the other half of Excalibur and getting you free across upgrade. Looks at the corner of his eye and sees Melty has reached level 40. Philo, can I pull a carriage to the capital? Deku, it would be a 2-day trip. Raphtalia, I think we should MSTR because we'll be passing the crater. We can check out all of the mutated monsters and check out the situation there. Deku reaches into his inventory and pulls out 3 rings with a nucleus symbol in a jam. Deku, it will protect you from the radiation and the heat of what's left. Melty, well, you're prepared. Deku, I've been able to walk around as a literal nuke, of course. I'm going to have radiation-resistant items. They head out of the building and see a wagon already prepared for them. Philo transforms into her philolial form, Weather Melty, hopping on her back. Deku hooks her to the carriage and get onto the reins. Philo sets off her humming a tune. While walking at a continuous speed, they travel till the sun that starts to set, and they are right next to the old mansion. Deku, sees a bunch of plant-based monsters there mutated and starting to rip any other monsters apart. Croatia, DMN, you humans made such dangerous poison, I'm kind of impressed. Deku, trust me, you'll be right at home in Australia. Deku walks to the edge of the crater, and he slides down it. He lands close to the middle while all the plant monsters look at him before roaring. Deku pulls out Black Rose Sword and wait for them to rush him. He immediately decides, steps their attack, and swings his blade straight. It glides right through the body, hitting something hard. Black Gem gets knocked out of the body as it hits a rock. Deku raises an eye out as the plant monster falls apart, and the crystal get covered in the box, making it look like a giant rock. Go on. Deku uses Ruler's authority to grab the crystal inside of the golem and rip it out. While it's in midair, Deku crushes at the golem, falling into rubble. System. Level up, you have Destroyed Blank Orb, can be used in a laboratory to turn into a max skill orb. Deku, don't destroy the orbs, just get them away from any materials. Deku's party brushes at the golems, easily defeating them while getting the crystals out of the bodies. Deku stores all 20 of the crystals in his infantry and realizes he should have went with the laboratory instead of the castle. He shakes his head. Philo, Papa. Everybody stops and looks towards Philo and sees her inside of a pink barrier with the Philolial Queen inside of it in her human form. Deku raises an eyebrow. Philolial Queen. Sorry, but she's going to be my successor. Deku walks up to the barrier and goes to punch it, but his fist pops out of the other side of the dome. Deku's eyes narrow intensely. Deku, spatial distortion magic. By the looks of it, any attack goes in one side. It comes up the other. By looks of it, it's a 360-degree one, no blind spots. Philolial Queen, you're smarter than you look, shield hero. But I've decided on making her my successor, just because you can't get along with the other free heroes. Yes, you don't need them, but this world needs all of the cardinal heroes to work together. Philo rashes right at her, and the Philolial Queen dodges the attack as Philo flies right into the barrier and teleports on the other side of it. Deku puts his head down and shakes it. Philolial Queen, if I beat you, you'll become my successor. Then I'll let you go, but if you manage to defeat me, I shall let you go and not wipe out the other free cardinal heroes, and then put all my efforts on destroying the shield hero. Deku, just as I thought. You can't get us to work together, so you decide to wipe yourself and bringing a new set of heroes, but you haven't even seen half but what I'm capable of. Philolial Queen, like you said, this is a spatial distortion barrier that will teleport anything to its direct opposite side. There is no way in or out. The barrier extends, covering the entire crater, and they get teleported right outside of it. Deku lets out a slow growl as a tail made of ice appears on his back, and then shatters, revealing a white, fluffy tail. Deku pulls out Blue Rose and fires 2 shots. They appear on the other side, and Deku raises an eyebrow with a delay. Deku, Philo, don't hold back and kick her butt. Philo equips her claws and rushes at the Philolial Queen. She casually sidesteps it and kicks Philo into the barrier, her white dress getting stained with BLD. As Philo hits the ground hard, she notices one of her wings are bent out of place. Deku, hey Beach, I might not be able to get to Philo, don't mean I can't help her. Alex, come forth. Philolial Queen, who is Ale? Alex slowly comes out of Philos' shadow, precise, intimidating. Before she could say anything, the shadow dragon immediately lets out black flames that make the Philolial Queen. That's when Philo grabs Ebony and Ivory and hold them in the direction of the Philolial Queen. Philolial Queen, what kind of weapon is that? Deku, good old America ingenuity. And you want to know something funny? They use mana as bullets. Philo squeezes the trigger as 2 bullets fly through the air and almost pierce right through the Philolial Queen's wings. She manages to put up a barrier, defending herself from it. Alex immediately drops out the sky right behind the Philolial Queen. Alex then swings her tail, whacking the Philolial Queen, sending her flying across the floor. Well, Philo is landing a few shots on her now and again, but she's trying to block from both sides. That's when she has footsteps right behind her. She slowly turns around and looks up at Deku, who then kicks her straight across the face, this locating her jaw and sending her flying across the floor. Deku walks right in front of her and looks down at her. The only thing she sees is a black figure with glowing purple eyes. Philolial Queen, I yield. She says that the barrier slowly disappears. Deku grabs her by the hair, slowly lifting her up to, I level Deku's ears, and tail go completely ice, making him look more demonic. Deku, try something like that again, and I won't hesitate to turn you into a shadow. Deku drops her and dropped a red vial in front of her. That's when the pillar in the center that survived the explosion, but not unscathed, completely cracks as a red and black T-Rex with an armored play-in on its skull rose at a Deku before pulling out Yamato and getting a quick draw stance. Deku, this move is used by 4 members of my family, and that includes myself. Deku immediately disappears as an ice pillar appears right beneath his feet as he stands there before running the blade on the outside of the sheath before spinning it and reefing it. That's when millions of green lights slice through the dinosaur, leaving it a bloody mess. Deku, by the storm that is approaching. Deku taxis foot, destroying the ice power beneath him, and looking at the dinosaur, he rolled his eyes before grabbing its cough and putting it in his shield. Philolial Queen, if I would have done something stupid, I would have been worse than that dragon. Deku, Philo declined your offer. Deku is about to continue, but a blue portal glitches into reality before Deku could say anything. The portal drags him, and Deku shakes his head and slowly stands up. He sees there are white pillars spaced neatly apart. The carpet on the floor is red with gold outlines. System, emergency quest Heaven's Castle. The Heaven's Castle gate has been opened by some means. Time is a red gate in here. Get to the 100th floor to escape. Deku shakes his head before walking down the hallway. Halfway through, a light spear tries to hit him, but he easily evades it and sees 4 female angels with 2 wings. Deku disappears in a blink of an eye and is standing right behind one. He immediately grabs her head, tilts it sideways a little, and the bites in her neck. Before anything could be said, Deku rips her throat out with his teeth. The female angel hits the ground barely alive. Well, one of the others cast healing magic on it. Deku rushes at them and pulling out Night Flyer and quickly decapitating them. Deku turns around and looks at the 4 female angels. Deku, well, I do need some healers. Arise. System, 2 wing angelic healers, rank normal. Shadow storage 29, 772/infinity. Deku, I was always lacking healers. Deku continued to walk down the hall, a few angels appearing now and again, Deku killing them with ease. He decides not to resurrect them, since there's no point having a bunch of weaklings in his army, unless they can hold value. Deku walks to the end of the hallway to see an altar with a magic circle on it being guided by 4 winged female angels. Deku uses ruler's authority and drag her to the ground. He keeps her pinned as he walks right behind her with a somewhat of a stuck smile, lifts up the angel's dress. While pulling down his pants, the angel tries to pull away, but her body is still pinned to the ground. A minute later, Deku licks his lips while pulling up his pants. Few books at the boss of this lying, and it's puddle off come that you create a soul sword above her. Head snaps his finger as it falls right down, dobbying her in the head, killing her instantly. System, your increased stat is agility. Deku grabs the ticket off her body and puts it on the magic circle. A small glow happens as Deku teleports to the next floor. Deku pulls out Venom Stagger and holds them in reverse grip and then brushes straight down the hallway. The angels being immediately decapitated and slice the path that is stopped right behind the boss and kicks the boss square directly in the side of the head, killing it instantly. Deku swipes the floor pass before heading to the next floor. Deku's army comes out of his shadow and just starts rushing down the hallway. Deku is casually walking, and when he gets to the end, he immediately swipes the floor pass before continuing it till the 10th floor. Decor is stood right next to the portal to the 10th floor and calls his shadows back. He takes 1 step onto the circle before getting teleported to a field with a city in the background. Deku stops and sees 3 figures sat on the riverbag deck. He notices one of them looks like a younger him, while the other 2 have a BLD face to the point where it's non-visible. Deku watches the younger figures playing together with their feet splashing in the water. Deku walks up to the younger him and touches his shoulder. Deku get blinded for a second before appearing on the 11th floor. Deku, why does that feel so familiar, but yet I have no memories of it? Deku's shadows step out Before rushing through the floor, Deku is walking while figuring out what just happened. He continues to climb the floors in a fast but steady pace. Deku reaches the 19th floor and steps onto the circle. Everything goes bright until he sees a younger him playing in the forest with the same two people, except their bodies are now visible. Their voices and faces are still distorted, but just audible. Come on, Izuku. Yeah, keep up. Younger Deku. No, I have bad Selena. Angel planning on going UA like that. Come on, let's build up your body. Deku watches as the figure with the red t-shirt helps him off the ground and head to a makeshift gym with very old equipment that still looks usable. Everything freezes while Deku is walking around. He tries to touch one of the other figures, but realizes his hand goes right through them. Deku walks up to himself, kneels, and puts his hand on his shoulder before awakening on the 21st floor. Deku, looks like every 10 floors I get somewhat of a memory of them days. Next one's going to be on the 30th floor. Deku pulls out Ebony and Ivory 2.0. He flips them to automatic and start running straight down the hall and firing his bullets, ripping through them all with ease. But then he sees the wall turns to a dead end. Deku tries to stop, but his momentum is carrying him forward. He twists to his side while slimming his foot. Then he sees on his left the pathway continues. He somewhat drifts his body around the corner before booking it straight towards the boss. Deku continues to fire the bullets, ripping through the boss as he slides and swipes the past. Deku repeats the same thing till he gets to the 29th floor. Just before he enters the portal, he closes his eyes and steps through. He sees the same figures, but not any clearer than last time. But he sees they're inside an abandoned moor, and then he hears 2 gunshots. He slowly walks over there and sees younger him reloading AM-16 and starts firing at some old cans, the bullets ripping through. And his shot's precise. He watched the same boy with the red shirt holding a revolver and the firing at some old teddies, the bullets ripping through and his shots landing in vital areas. He then looks to see the girl with a red jumper with black spots covering it, casually reading books about firearms. Deku raises an eyebrow at this. He then hears the girl talk. Hey, Distortion. So do you know what your quirk is yet? Don't have one got the extra toe joint and everything. Younger Deku. Don't worry about it, Distortion. You still have us. It doesn't matter if we're literal gods, all the weakest humans in the planet. Oh, I know. Deku, why is it distorting itself when their names are being spoken? Everything stops again with Deku walking towards a girl and looking at her, trying to put the pieces together. He hates towards himself and touches his shoulder. He then appears on the 31st floor under a pizza, the same process. He makes it to the 40th floor in a matter of minutes, and when he enters the memory area, he sees himself in the middle of a forest with younger him not inside. Deku hears groaning a little ways ahead, and he walks up to the direction. That's when he sees a fight between himself and the 2 others. Deku finds a rock and sits on it and watches himself fight. He notices the only girl out of the friend group is flexible and agile and is analyzing the situation mid-fight. He then sees the male figure going at it with brute force. Then he hears a voice next to him and turns to it. He turns to see the same him that is currently fighting with the kids. Younger Deku. I remember this day, the same day. Distorted, diagnosed, quirkless, just like we were. Deku, who are they? Younger Deku. Due time. Due time. Just get higher and it all become clearer. Deku watches as younger him walks into the trees and disappears. Deku warps to the him from the memory and grabs its shoulder. One Deku does the same. Bright light flashes in his face, and he wakes up on the 41st floor. Deku summons Cavalier and hops on. He reads the engine twice. Before swords appear behind him as he flaws it down the hallway. Any angels that get close immediately gets cured by his swords. He continues to floor it at the next 9 floors and reaches the 49th floor. He stands in front of the portal and steps through like usual. This time, he sees a very younger him lost in the forest, whimpering with a SCD leg. That's when the same girl, but younger, walks. Younger Deku this time. He can't hear anything, just like the 10th floor, but before he can make a move, younger him and the girl get A and walk toward the rock and see the boy with the red t-shirt battered and bruised. That's when he sees younger him grab the girl's backpack and pull out some of her sewing equipment and patches up the cut on his arm by sewing it shut. Deku notices that younger him did a pretty good job with sewing the injury. Deku watches his lips move, but with no sound, Deku watches Younger, and the girl help us the kid before everything stops again. He walks to Younger him, and his hand passes right through. He's confused, but then takes the hand of the other two people, and he wakes up on the 51st floor. Deku. So that's how we met. That's when Koreisha hops out of his ring, and it looks at the surroundings. Koreisha, what is this place? Deku, no idea, but I know every 10 floors I get these memories of two people I can't remember. Continue through the floors, the flaws becoming slightly more annoying the higher they go up the flows they had to the next memory floor. They both enter, and Deku sees the same fighting scene, only different days. It is raining, and the mud is everywhere. They watch their hand-to-hand combat get better. Koreisha, I don't know this about your life. Deku, neither did I. Don't even remember half the big stuff. But yet it seems to be real. That's when everything distorts around them, and then it shows Deku back in that alleyway, sobbing. Deku's eyes widen before he leans back against the wall, looking down at his past self. Deku almost forgot how it felt. Deku links down and wipes away the dirt before his finger touches the infection, making it burst before he awakens on the 61st floor, create a soul sword, and it stands on it like a skateboard. Deku leans forward, the sword flying through the air with grace. As he's flying past all of the angels, he creates sword, and they fire straight at ripping them apart in a matter of 5 minutes. Deku makes it to the 69th floor, step through to see a rundown dojo. That's when they see Deku and the boy fighting with swords while the girl was fighting with daggers, decorations, and eyebrow, as their fighting style is one that has been trained for a while even though they were so young. Younger Deku. They're doing good, man. Only difference is I'm a true swordsman. Deku watches as his younger self jumps in the air while using the momentum from the sword to carrying him higher before bringing it down and hitting the boy on the head. The girl looks at them before shaking her head and pulling out free bottles of water. She throws 2 bottles to the boys. While she has one, everything stops as Deku realizes it's getting more and more familiar. Deku. Every time we go up, these become more clearer. We cut to the 90th floor. Deku is watching a day before he went to the quirk doctor. He sees their faces clear as day. On her voices, he sees the girl has blue hair and blue eyes. Her hair is tied into 2 buns on the back of her head. The boy has messy brown hair with brown eyes and is the tallest out of the 3 of them. Younger Deku. Issei. Marinette. Tomorrow I'm going to see what my quirk is. Marinette. I have to move to Paris tomorrow morning. Issei. You will be moving. Younger Deku. Roasting touch right. Deku looks confused before they all start laughing before everything stops. Deku is sat on the ground with his fist on his cheek. His expression is serious. Walks up to them. As everything stops, he then wraps his arms around Marinette and Issei. That's when Deku senses to auras above him. At the 100th floor, we see a brown head boy with a black jacket and red t-shirt sat on a riverbed as a girl with blue hair tied up in 2 buns at the bottom half of her head. She sits next to the boy. Her expression one of sadness. A small red creature flies out of her purse. It has black spots on it, with 2 little tiny wings on its back. I'm guessing you're Tiki. The little creature nod. Tiki, I've heard a lot about the 2 of you from Marinette, but she's been quiet. Marinette, can't believe he's gone. Issei. Issei, I know, but hey, it's probably kicking somebody's, but up there. That's when a bright flash happens, and they wake up inside of a white room with a giant crystal ball in the center. They look around confused until the crystal ball lights up with a video of Deku entering the dungeon. They're confused, but they see Deku climb at the dungeon. Fast, they watch Deku relive the memory. Scenes, their eyes widening. Issei, is that him? He looks different. Marinette, but one of those creatures that came out of his shadow. Tiki, not sure, but I can sense huge amounts of magic coming from him. They continue watching Deku climb up the floors. Marinette notices Tiki's expression when the girl comes out of Deku's ring. It is one of surprise and a slight fear. Marinette, do you know that Lady Tiki? Tiki, you could say she's my mother. She's the monarch of plagues and insects. The last time I checked, she was sealed away by the other monarchs the same day Ashbourne was killed. Issei, Ashbourne is? Something clicks in Tiki's head, but she completely freezes and just keeps quiet. They continue watching Deku climb up the floors, and they even hear his voice when Deku reaches the 99th floor. They all watch as the portal opens as Deku steps through. Deku sees Marinette and Issei. They all run up to each other and hug Marinette and Issei. being just below Deku's chest. The oath chat for 15 minutes going over everything that happened between them. That's when Deku stops and looks at the crystal ball. That starts to crack. Deku stops when a dark red name appears out of the crystal before a giant dragon, half the size of Godzilla, comes crashing out of it while roaring. That's when the sky slowly turns dark with a white moon being visible in the background. System. Name Angelic Dragon April. Deku. I think we need to kill that thing to get out of here. Drake. You're ready, partner. Issei. Oh hell yeah, let's show this dragon what we're capable of. Drake. Boost, 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 boost. Ascalon. A golden sword with a silver blade appears out of the red gauntlet on his arm. Issei. This is the dragon's sling sword, Ascalon. Marinette. Tiki spots on. A pink flash of light in Philip's Marinette before Marinette steps out wearing a tight red bodysuit with black polka dots and black legs with red dots on the legs. Deku froze her Venom's dagger, and at Night Slayer, she grabs them out of midair and holds them in reverse grip. Deku's eyes narrow at the dragon before slightly giggling, making the dragon look confused. A white glow envelopes Marinette and Issei is today with stars in their eyes while the dragon is confused. Deku immediately while shoots. Ice spikes from his tail, the ripping through the dragon's scales like hot knife through butter. Issei rashes towards the dragon, him raising his blade up and swinging his sword straight down. The dragon blocks the attack before using its tail like a hammer and whacks him into a pillar, knocking the pillar down. Deku rushes at the dragon while Marinette is parkouring around, keeping her distance away from the dragon. She lands a few blows on the dragon's back, making it stagger back. That's when Deku, expression one of excitement, he slowly reaches into his inventory and pulls out Yamato. The dragon looks at the sword and slowly backs away in fear, while Deku just clicks his neck. Issei froze Deku his sword, and Deku holds both of them in a quick draw stance. Deku continues to dodge the dragon's attacks, landing kicks for another minute before Deku starts laughing like a mania. Deku. Two-sword technique. Deku disappears in a blink of an eye and reappears wearing his shadow robes, it blowing in the wind with both of the swords pointing down. Deku. I am the storm. That is approaching. Streaks of light slice apart the dragon in a blink. Issei. DM in, man, when we get to tell if you could do that. Deku. I got a week before getting sent to another world. Marinette. Spots off. So we're getting out this place. They watch as a blue portal appears in front of them, and they are hopped through, landing a few feet above the crater and hit the ground hard. They'll get to put stretching. A little Philo looks at the two new people confused. Raphtalia. MSTR. Who are these two new people? Deku. This is Marinette and Issei, childhood friends like siblings. Deku looks towards the Philolial Queen. Deku. You got something to say it. She snaps her fingers as a magic circle appears beneath all of them. Philolial Queen. I'm going to teleport you as close as I can to one of the cardinal heroes. Before Deku could say anything, his crew gets teleported in a forest. They walk around for a few minutes before ending up on a pathway leading toward the checkpoint to start walking in the direction of the checkpoint, since they're not sure which checkpoint net at and how far they are from the capital. When they get to see the gate of the checkpoint, a god notices them and then runs away. Deku raises an eyebrow at this, but tucks it away for the minute. They continue to walk to the checkpoint. They stop 60 meters away from the gate, and Deku comes face to face with Motoyasu. Deku. Motoyasu, I want to talk. We're not here to start a fight with you. We just want to pass. Motoyasu. Let you through, huh? Is that all? Is that all you have to say for yourself? Traitor. Motoyasu prints his spear on his hand and rams it towards Deku. He casually blocks it with his regular shield. Motoyasu, devil of the shield. After a few seconds of Motoyasu attack hitting Deku's shield, he leaps back, slightly panting. Deku, can you at least listen to me before you try that again? Motoyasu, I won't listen to anyone who uses a brainwashing shield to enslave Philo and Raphtalia. You're despicable. Deku, they ain't brainwashed. Motoyasu rams his spear forward. It's hitting Deku's shield again, but this time with small sparks coming off the two of them. Deku, damn Motoyasu, I don't want to fight, hell. I didn't even want to fight you the last two times. Motoyasu, I finally know the reason why I was summoned here to stop you. Meteor Frost. A green circle appears around Motoyasu's spear as he rams it forward. The green energy from the circle absorbs into his spear, changes to blue, and rockets towards Deku. Deku snaps his fingers as in the exact second of impact, one of his skeleton knights appear and then immediately get hit by the attack, disintegrating it back into Deku's shadow. A huge dust cloud and pulse of energy is felt. Then when the dust cloud disappears, Deku is stood there unscathed. Motoyasu, you're still not down yet. You sure are stubborn, I'll give you that. Marinette, let me at him, I'll rip him to pieces. Raphtalia, if that's his attitude, nothing you say will change his mind. Deku's thoughts. She's right, but why is he doing this? He knows what I'm capable of. Deku, Motoyasu, why are you mad at me? Was you because I didn't let you power up last time we fought? Motoyasu, are you that heartless? Was Rim and Itsuki that insignificant to you? People call you the devil. I finally understand why. You told us heroes should be on the same team, but you tricked us. We trusted you. I'm gonna make you pay. Motoyasu brings his spear up and slams it down. Amen for Deku's head. Deku casually races the shield with one hand, blocking it with no struggle. Motoyasu, you're done. I'll make sure of it. Deku, I'm not even sure what you're blabbering on about. Motoyasu, well, you should think about it. Motoyasu rams his spear directly towards Deku's eyes, but Deku casually sidesteps it, his expression never changing. Motoyasu swings his spear to the side, Deku blocking it, but Motoyasu uses his second hand to put more force onto the spear. Motoyasu, you're gonna pay for what you did to Then. Murderer. Deku, what the hell are you talking about? Motoyasu, don't stand there acting done. You might as well admit it, you killed them. Marinette, so we've only been here a few hours, do you know what the hell he's talking about? Raphtalia, well, there are 4 cardinal heroes, one with a bow, one with a sword, and then you have Mr. Spearhead over there, and he's saying that the sword and bow are dead, even though we watched them get resurrected with a phoenix tear. Motoyasu, you use your brainwashing on 2 more people. Deku, dude, I'm not brainwashing anyone. Why would I do any of that? Tell me, did you see that bodies with your own eyes? Take your silence as a no. Don't you think maybe someone's lying to you? Malty, I think a representative of the church is a reliable source. Deku sees Malty standing behind Motoyasu. Malty, they say the devil of the shield released the monster that the old cardinal heroes sealed. Then he used it, the panic of the monster being released, to kill the other 2 cardinal heroes. Issei, icing dragons bullshit better than that. Malty, Sir Spear Hero, be careful of his brainwashing shield, or the devil will sway you with his words. Motoyasu, no need to worry about that. He can't fool me. Deku, don't tell me you're the one who did it. Malty, enough chit-chat, time to battle. She says that a blue energy spear shoots straight up into the sky, creating a lightning prison dome, stopping anyone from entering or exiting. Issei, seriously, a lightning cape? I was like 10 of these already. Malty, lightning prison, sealing the caster and her targets inside of the prison until either the caster is dead or the opponents are dead. Motoyasu, you ain't getting away this time. I will avenge their deaths. You're finished. Motoyasu rushes at Deku and continuously ramming his spear towards Deku. Deku is easily blocking every attack, making each one of the attacks hits the gem on the shield. Deku, Marinette. Marinette, tiki spots on. A red and black spotted glow covers her body as her usual bodysuit, but with a black and red trench coat with a face mask covering the bottom half. She holds both of her daggers in reverse grip. Malty, oh no you don't. By the source of thy power, and as the next queen, I order them. Decipher the laws of creation and bring down a rain of fire, consuming all of my targets. Smite firestorm. That's when Deku looks up to see hundreds of small fireballs spinning and forming into fire arrows before slamming down towards the Marinette. Throws her yo-yo in the air as a bunch of ladybugs form a shield, easily covering all of them, while Issei is holding up the shield, blocking the impacts. Deku, Philo now. Motoyasu, he is giggling behind him and immediately steps back as Philo transforms and swings her foot up. That's when a wind current from one of Motoyasu's majors hits Philo, sending her flying. Koreisha immediately hops out of Deku's ring and stopping Philo from hitting the lightning. Koreisha grabs Philo's hand as she turns back into a human form and it starts spinning. She then launches Philo full power towards Motoyasu. She transforms and making her body as aerodynamic as she can, head-butting him, sending him skidding back, almost hitting the lightning. Motoyasu, forgive me, Philo, but I must fight Rem, and it's Suki no matter the cost. Motoyasu spins his spear before it ignites into flames, and he rushes at Philo before the blade could touch Philo. Motoyasu feels a hand on his head before his body gets slammed to the ground, making a crater. Where he landed, he immediately hops back, slamming his spear into the ground. Blue energy flows into his spear before he spins it from in the air. As it starts to spin before my magic circles appear with the spear flying back, only little before slamming forward right towards Deku. Motoyasu, Galaxy Spear. Deku changes his shield into the chainsaw shield and crosses both of his arms while blocking the attack. The attack cracks the ground beneath the Deku, but Deku doesn't seem to be struggling. Motoyasu, I'm not done. Chaos Spear. Motoyasu's spear starts flying towards Deku while shooting hundreds of miniature spears while Motoyasu is pulling his spear back and forward into rapid succession. Deku is blocking with ease. That's when Deku notices a giant mana circle in the sky with a huge iron spike and free magic circles of lightning. The lightning starts to crackle before the iron spike flies right towards Deku. Before the spike could hit Deku, he immediately jumps in the air, dodging it. A second later, Deku hits the ground, crushing the iron beneath him. That's when Deku looks to see Motoyasu's spear having a wind circle around the tip, with fire being contained inside of it. The fire turns a bright blue, almost blinding. Motoyasu pulls his spear back, the end of the handle igniting on the back, acting like a thruster. The spear then gets launched right towards Deku, almost teleporting. Deku's eyes slowly widen before he grabs the spear while having the rage shield activated. The spear slices a small cut on his palm before Deku kicks the handle straight up while redirecting it towards the floor, making the spear slam into the ground. Then it disappears before reforming in Motoyasu's hand. Not even a second later, that's when 20 smaller the lightning iron moves are appearing around Deku. In a blink of an eye, Deku is stood in front of where they would hit with a giant red armor with a green gem in the center, green crystals where the eyes should be, and two giant mechanical red wings. Issei is stood there in his scale mail armor. The attacks hitting his armor, but nothing happened to the armor. Deku notices Marinette with Tiki quickly snacking. After a few seconds, Marinette gives a thumbs up. Deku has a grain before looking at Issei. Deku, they want to use combos, so shall we? Motoyasu, if you all seem to take his side, I can't promise you any mercy. Marinette, off Tiki spots on. Marinette gets encased in the same armor as before. Marinette throws her yo-yo in the air as a giant sniper rifle, twice the size of Marinette, with a giant barrel that could fit a football through it, with its colors being red with black polka dots. Marinette slides the hammer back before pushing it forward. Issei touches the cannon before his armor disappears, and a voice is heard saying, transfer. Motoyasu, no, wait. Deku walks up to the cannon and picks it up with one hand. Marinette and Issei wrap that arms around the gun, holding in place. Deku pulls of the trigger, a loud explosion being heard from all through the kingdom. Motoyasu and his party get stuck inside of the wall, almost unconscious. Everybody is looking at the cannon before Marinette changes back to normal, while Tiki flies in her purse with a few snacks. Deku, that's what happens if 3 people transferred their power into the cannon finger. What would happen if all 6 of us did? Deku walks up to them and pulls them out of the wall back into the same spot. He purchases hearing potions and just chucks them on Motoyasu's party before Deku senses something. That's when Deku stops and notices all of the soldiers are gone, not even one is there. Deku, Issei and Marinette sense something coming fast. Deku activates shield prison and for airstrike shield straight above them. That's when a huge pillar of life falls straight out of the sky. Deku turns into his devil trigger form, and Issei immediately changes in a juggernaut drive, and they both wrap their wings around everybody while Deku has the rage shield in its second form, making it look more demonic with scorching black flames. The pillar of light breaks through all of the shields, and Deku is stood there with Issei continuously transferring his power to Deku while the beam of light is hitting him full force. The beam continues to hit for 2 minutes before dying down, and Deku notices his stamina is at 20%. System System hafted to transfer M.P into H.P, then have to transfer stamina into health warning stamina, critical 19% remaining. When stamina hits 5%, player will go unconscious. When unconscious, daily quests will be disabled. Deku is too tired to say anything and looks around at the giant molten crater that they are all in. Everybody's eyes widened as Deku's shield cracks and changes. This time the shield is the same size as Deku, but pitch black with demonic inscriptions on it. The shield is split in half, with each half being on one of his arms, with the gem being split in the center. The halves are put together with spikes resembling teeth. System: new tier of Rage shield unlocks Sparta's Diablo. This shield will block 90% of damage when equipped, but will consume 1 H.P per second it is activated. Deku, 5 points vitality. Deku watches as his H.P and M.P immediately shoots back up, but his stamina staying at 19%. Deku deactivate his new Rage shield and stands there, his legs shaking. That's when Deku hear slow clapping from the top of the crater. Deku's eyes narrow as he sees the Pope. The Pope, I am impressed you took Judgment Head on an extremely powerful ritual that insta-kills anybody who is a disgrace to the church, and yet you're still standing without a scratch. I return my remark, it looks like your body used your own stamina to keep you alive. Quite impressive for the devil of the shield. Deku, you were one of the escapes when I attacked the angelic church of the heavens. The Pope, yes, well, that was quite a nuisance on your behalf, but they were getting in my way. But now, devil of the shield, I shall end you and the spear hero, just as I did the other 2 cardinal heroes. Rem, are you sure about that? Everybody looks towards Rem, and it's Suki who are standing there without a scratch. The Pope's eyes widen, but that's when a nun kicks them down into the pit. The Pope, how are you 2 not dead? Deku, see, when you landed the so-called finishing blow, the only thing you killed was my shadow. Well, one of them. Isuki, thanks again for the warning. Motoyasu, what are you free talking about? Rem, on the first day, Izuku wonders that something was odd with this setting, since he knew about all 4 cardinal heroes not being allowed to be summoned in the same kingdom, and we found it odd that the king ignored him during the introductions, and if it wasn't for him speaking up, I would. Isuki, when he told us about his ability to summon shadows, he explained to us that he's going to have one in our shadow 24/7 to relay information by a crystal orb, so we had no communications with each other whatsoever to not blow our cover. The Pope, what about that instance where he killed all for you? We cut to a flashback while Deku is walking towards the noble's mansion. When Deku was out of sight from bird's eye view, one of his shadows pulls out a crystal ball. Deku, Rem, listen, I know you're keeping your cover by doing this, but I'm coming that, and I will kill all of you. Don't worry, push comes to shove, I'll resurrect you with some phoenix tears. Rem, I understand, I'll explain to Itsuki after the attack. And the functions for taking the credit of cleaning up the dragon's mess for me, I didn't realize it would have that much of an impact. Deku, might be painful, I'm sorry if it's too much for you to handle. We cut back to present. Deku, and that's how I also knew where the girls were without even leading to summon back my shadows. The Pope, oh well, it doesn't matter, you're going to die anyway. So then I can summon new heroes with the SLV colors that are currently being traded on the black market. They're handy, you know, 1 drop of BLD, and next target under complete SBM sin. It definitely helped when I was having my way with that phoenix that was underneath the angelic church. Everybody goes quiet at that while a demonic growl is heard from Deku. That's when the Pope pulls out a golden spear before stabbing of the head in the ground and twisting it. A gazebo-like structure forms around the crater, with the Pope standing on a pedestal deck, who lost around to see a bunch of pictures of the Pope in every triangle pane of glass forming it. The Pope, welcome to the angelic domain. Melty, that's the angelic copy. Issei, I'm sorry, the what? Malty, it's a tall that was made during the first wave of heroes. It's directly connected to all 4 cardinal weapons, meaning any skills you have or past heroes that I transfer to that weapon. The Pope, and that's skill devil of the shield, the one that allows you to do this. A bunch of golden shadows start climbing out of the ground that look exactly like Deku's shadows. The only thing is Deku notices their powers are way weaker than his. Deku, so you have shadow extraction and shadow storage. It's too bad, though. The Pope, and why is it so bad, Mr. Shield Hero? Deku, because by the looks of it, you don't have your shadow storage at max level. The Pope, is directly tied to yours, meaning that yours isn't at max level. Deku, yours is around level 3, meaning you can hold a roughly 400 shadows, while mine is infinite since I've maxed out the skill, and I didn't max it out the old-fashioned way. That's why yours is only at level 4. The Pope, how is that possible? Deku, I got a warning about your so-called weapon as soon as I came to this world, so I had one of my shadows find it and do some research on its capabilities. Turn out you have all of Ass skills and abilities, but with 2 costs when it costs 5 times as much M.P per skill, and you only have access to the current skill before you wield it, meaning yes, you have access to all our skills, but you only have access to my skills at their regular level, not the max level I have wielded. Motoyasu, if that's the case, how are your skills maxed out? Deku, max skill orbs allows me to max out 1 skill per orb, and they're a legendary drop, meaning 1 in 100,000, and I currently only have 6, maybe less skills maxed out. The Pope, oh well, it doesn't matter since I can also disable skills in this domain, and I disabled your shadow storage, meaning no shadows for you, and I have my army. Marinette, this guy's serious. I mean, you have like a bunch of other skills, 2 of them being literal nukes, and a sword that can literally cut through time and space itself, creating portals. Issei, and he might have your skills, but he doesn't have your bloodline skills like Devil Trigger. The Pope, hi yes, Devil Trigger, I tried to access the skill, but turns out I need to have Demon BLD running through me, but I did something even better since the last set of heroes, there was one with a skill called Angel's Carnage, meaning the Pope's body glows at 10 wings from on his back, a black cracked halo appears above his head, and his body radiates so much mana his name tag turns almost black, making Deku's eyes widen. Deku, this guy's even stronger than me. It doesn't mean I'm giving up without a fight. The Pope, oh trust me, you'll be joining your lineage very soon. Everybody gets any fighting stand as the golden shadows surrounding all of them, pointing their weapons towards everybody. Deku turns into his Devil Trigger while activating his new Rage Shield. Issei transforms into his Juggernaut Drive with his helmet being open and his face covered in red scales. Marinette transforms into her original suit while holding both of her daggers in reverse grip. That's when all of the cardinal weapons glow, as 6 figures from each weapon come stepping out and points their weapons to watch them. The Pope, I also can bring back the past users of your cardinal weapons, meaning you're all scree. Dante, where are we? Dante looks around confused before he sees the entire army of Golden Shadow. Alpha walks up to Deku and gives him a fist bump. Philo runs up and hugs Miyabi. Melty, who are these people? Deku, my grandpa Dante, his brother Virgil, and his oldest Alpha, his middle child Miyabi, and of course my old man Hisashi. The Pope, Silver Devil's family has come to join him in death. Deku, what is it? Marinette, Issei, wet tag teaming on this guy. Virgil, we got these knockoff shadows. Alpha, just tell us if you want to do 4 judgment cuts. Deku will do. Deku, Issei, and Marinette immediately charge towards the Pope before the Pope could say anything. Deku round houses him in Issei's uppercut. Marinette jumps straight off the wall with her blade in her reverse grip and slicing his chest. It does barely any damage. Deku pulls out ebony and ivory and throws them straight to Dante. Dante grabs them before getting on one knee and holding the guns together. Virgil, don't you dare say it. Dante, jackpot. Dante fires 4 rounds from the guns, and that they pierce right through the shadows. Deku kicks the Pope straight up, but in a blink of an eye, everything goes black and white for Deku. Looks around in confusion before he sees himself in a black void surrounded by its 7 individuals, all sitting on thrones. Deku, where am I? You're inside of One for All. Deku, and you are? Nana. I'm Nana, the 7th user of One for All. Deku, do your All Might mentor or teacher or something like that? Nana, so you know about One per Roll, good to know. I won't have to explain everything. Deku looks at the bold man, sat in the chair next to Nana. Banjo, looks like we're the only 2 you currently have access to, but okay. Instead of giving our abilities to that beach, we're transferring One for All to you. Deku, is that even possible? Nana, well, we are here. So, you will get to meet the other users soon. System. Quirk unlocked One for All level 1 of physical enhancer. Once belonging to All Might, you can currently use 10%. It will increase all stats by 30. Black WHB, level 1, create black like tentacles of pure energy out of your body. Your black WHB will currently only be able to extend in a straight line and be used as a WHB. The higher the level, the more control you have over it. Float level 1, be able to stay in place in mid-air without anything disturbing you. Higher levels will give you more mobility, eventually turning into flight. And Anna, looks like it worked. Banjo, see you around 9th. Deku opens his eyes with time beginning to flow again. Deku fires black WHB. While using one for all for a boost in power here, immediately swings his hand back with wrapping around the popes like before. The pope gets slammed to the ground. Deku then raises both of his hands before slamming them down. Gravity slam. Doing its work, the pope gets slammed to the ground, barely able to stand while Deku is smirking. Deku immediately grabs Yamato out of his system and rushes at the pope before anything could be said. That you continues to swing the blade, cutting the pop-up, but his body regenerating almost instantly. The pope gets annoyed at this as he makes his hand glow as a beam of light shoot from all of the panes of glass. Deku using the shield blocking all of the attacks. While the pope continues to throw attacks at Deku, the pope's eyes widen as Deku swings his foot upwards, cracking the dough, before Deku shoots straight up, spinning and kicking the head of the pope. A satisfying cracking sound is heard while the pope screams out in pain. The dome cracks, completely forming in a golden dusk as it floats down. Everybody's eyes widen as Deku sees a bunch of priests and nuns stood there praying as Deku watches golden energy flow into the pope, repairing all of the damage Deku did to him. The pope, so long as I'm doing what is necessary against this devil of the shield, I will be completely immortal. Deku, hold on, I've been saving a 30-kill streak. Issei, OHLNO. Dante, OHLNO. Virgil, OHLNO. The pope watches as everybody immediately hops inside of the crater, while another black and red shield appears above all of them. The pope looks confused. Deku, shield prison. A bunch of green shield from a giant ball of shields with green chains wrapped around them, making the entire place airtight as a voice that could only be described as angelic is heard through the entire battlefield. System, tactical nuke incoming. In a blink of an eye, a giant fireball consumes all of the occupants of the church. System, level up, 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 level up. Here comes the sun has upgraded a tactical nuke. When the player gets a 30-kill streak, the nuke will be on standby. Warning, if Perverance is activated, tactical nuclear reset. Tactical nuke will do 0 damage to allies to the player. Player has 60 stat points on standby. Deku, 10 stat points into each. System, player stamina has ran out. Player will fall unconscious in 3, 2, 1. Deku's eyes gloss over as he hits the floor unconscious, and while later Deku wakes up inside of an unfamiliar room alone. Deku opens his eyes, his body straining for a few seconds. His body then gets very light. Deku's shoulder pops. System, new skill unlocked. BLD sacrifices level 1 rage shield exclusive. 99% of your max H.P for Dragon Jaws, dealing 100% of max H.P to enemies. Skill info, by sacrificing 99% of your max H.P, your BLD will splatter everywhere and seep into the ground. Giant metal dragon jaws will appear and crush your enemies, killing them instantly. Deku looks around the room and realizes he's just in his boxes with bandages wrapped around his body. He looks to the end of the bed and sees Marinette with her head on the end of the bed. That's when the door gets kicked in by annoyed Issei. He stops when looking at Deku. Issei walks to Deku, his expression one of anger and betrayal, but then he softened up and raises his fist for Deku. The fists collide. Issei, dim in. Man, you had a worried. It looks like even that couldn't kill you. Deku scratches the back of his head while giving a nervous laugh. Deku, dude, you know I wouldn't die that easy. I just ran out of stamina. Marinette slowly wakes up and her eyes locked with Deku's. She then leaps over the bed and wraps her arms around Deku, almost crushing him. Marinette, dude, you've been out for 3 days. That's when footsteps are heard as 2 nurses stand at the door, bowing their heads down. Deku raises his hand, stopping his shadows from making a move. A few minutes later, a tall woman with purple hair and purple eyes, wearing an elegant red dress and a golden crown on her head. She walks in him fan, covering her mouth. Deku gestures for his friends to wait outside. Reluctantly, they walk outside of the room and close the door. Deku sits up, find the quips, his items from his inventory. The woman closes her fan before sitting on one of the chairs in the room. She speaks up, her expression serious, but also worrying. Morelia. Hello, Izuku. We haven't had a direct conversation, but I have heard some things from Shadow Garden. I am Morelia, Q Melromark, the queen of the kingdom of Melromark. Deku stands and walks to the window. He speaks up, his voice more colder than usual. Deku, I know the story our first filmed me in with every little detail. And I know you're going to try and convince me to stay in this country, but it's not going to work. Me and my party under my shadows will be leaving. My small village is run by my mom and close family. I have a few shadows there, just in case, including one of my heaviest hitters. So there's no chance for attack on my village without them being incinerated on sight. So yeah, for now, we're heading to where the waves are. Her expression turns slightly less serious, and one of his sad mother, Morelia. I understand. And I notice your recovery is complete. Icarus steps out of Deku's shadow and points a sword at Morelia's throat. Deku, if this is a trap, your kingdom won't be left standing. My patients are almost us. The next day, Deku is stood against one of the pillars in the throne room. Icarus and Baru stand next to him with his party surrounding him. Issei is stood there with his boosted gear out, and Marinette is stood there in her ladybug costume. A few seconds later, the king and Malty get dragged in with chains on their hands. They get to put on a podium. The queen pulls out some SLV crest equipment and gives the king and Malty a SLV crest, their feet being buried in ice, stopping them from moving. Deku slightly raises an eyebrow at this situation, but internally he's thankful. Deku stands up properly and walks in front of everybody. Deku, yes, sorry, but those SLV crests aren't going to work properly. The entire place goes quiet at Deku's declaration. Morelia, explain? Deku, well, as you know, SLV crests electrocute them anytime they try to disobey, but that also means half-truths and half-lies won't register if you order them to tell the truth. I've actually tested it myself. Everybody looks at each other in surprise before Deku speaks up again, this time his voice a little bit more serious. Deku, I say we use a SLV collar, since unlike a SLV crest, this one makes it so you're 100% loyal. Deku watches as the king and Malty's faces go completely pale, and scare Morelia allows Deku to put SLV collars on them as long as she's in control of them. Deku sets it up so Morelia is in control of the SLV colors. The entire place is quiet, except for slight shaking and anger from Motoyasu after everything is set up. Morelia, right now we shall begin the trial. Now everyone will know the crimes you have committed. Motoyasu, you can't do this. What so-called crimes they have committed? Morelia, where should I begin? Using a fabricated holy weapon, the Pope of the Free Heroes Church tried to murder the Cardinal Heroes and blame it on the Shield Hero. He was killed in the attempt. We are currently rounding up the last remaining members of the Free Heroes Church. Motoyasu, what does that have to do with them? Morelia, both of the king and first princess work inspiring with this Free Heroes Church this entire time. Any objections? Malty goes to speaker, trying to deny it, but the truth comes out. Malty, yeah, we worked with the Free Heroes Church because they said they could do me a favor by getting rid of my sister and get rid of the Shield Hero. Everybody's eyes widen and murmurs start to go around. Melty, but I didn't have any part in their plans to kill the other Free Heroes and myself. The king, don't tell me. Deku, so yes, she attempted to kill her own little sister just because she wanted the front hell tie, came to me after Malty poisoned her. The king, that can't be true. Malty, yeah, well, it's too bad. Didn't have any faster acting poison of us. You would have been dead by morning. But since that didn't work, I knew a nobleman who would gladly take her off my hands, as well as the Shield Hero's slaves. Deku, and that's why there is a huge crater where there once was a mansion. Everybody's eyes widen, and the king looks slightly disgusted. Morelia then looks towards the king, her expression serious. Morelia, you also conspired with the church to summon all 4 cardinal heroes. While I was away. The king, I only did it because we needed the heroes to fend off the waves. And on the first night, the Shield Hero did unspeakable things to our daughter. Motoyasu slums a spear on the ground before speaking up. Motoyasu, That's right, Melty came running to me after saying the shield hero, her. Morelia, why don't we ask ourselves, were you truly assaulted by the shield hero? Malty, no, he didn't. I only said that because the free heroes church wanted him out the way, and with the less people who trust him, the better. And getting him more on Dad's bad side just made it easier for us to turn the kingdom against him. Malty covers her mouth with her expression, turning to one of anger if you grabs the collar and tries to rip it off, but then a huge electrical current runs through her body, zapping her unconscious. Motoyasu, no way, that can't be right, that thing must be broken. Deku, like how those things are broken, the brand new. Motoyasu, and how would you know that brand new? Deku rolls his eyes before purchasing a brand new crate of them. They hit the floor, making everybody's eyes widen as Deku stores the crater back in his infantry. Everybody is looking at where the crater was with surprise. Morelia, thanks for clearing up one of my suspicions, Mr. Shield Hero. Now, for the former two royalty for crimes against one of the four cardinal heroes and acting without my permission and trying to assassinate royalty, with the intent to gain more power for themselves with no consideration for the kingdom they serve. The king. The only reason I did this was to protect our family. The shield is the devil. I've seen it with my own eyes. He walks around with beans made of shadows. Do you need any more proof? Morelia sit there quietly for a few minutes, have fun, covering her face. She speaks up, her voice commanding with no room for arguments. Morelia. After careful consideration, the former king and first princess will be SDRPPD of their titles, and I sentence them to death. Everybody is stood there in surprise, and whispers I heard throughout the kingdom. But while later the king and Malty, a place inside of guillotine's cheers, are heard throughout the stadium. Deku, what looks down at the marionette, looks at them with a slight smile, before turning to Deku, noticing that look in his eyes. Malty looks Deku in the eyes while crying and begging him to save her. Deku, hold up, wait a minute. Deku hops down before the order could give for them to be executed. He walks right up to the guillotines and stands it in the middle of them. Deku speaks up, his voice loud but clear. Deku, yeah, I think the death penalty's too good for them. Death is instantaneous. I mean, seriously, this beach just baked for my help with the SLV color on. Get you to wonder, do you think you'll even cut a skin? It might be that thick. So I've got a better idea for now. On the king's name's Trash, and the first princess will be Beach. The stadium goes quiet for a solid second before two people burst out laughing, and everybody looks to see Marinette and Issei holding each other up while laughing like a maniac. Trash, my name's not Trash. Beach, and I'm not Beach. Deku, well, if you don't like it, you can just go ahead and die now. It's up to you. Morelia uses her fan to cover her mouth while speaking up loud, making everybody look at her. Morelia, Malty usually uses an A-list when she's adventuring. What about that? Deku, think for a minute. Then everybody hears Issei yell from the top of his lungs. Issei, how about Ka? Marinette, dude, that is so weak. She should go with Toy. Everybody goes quiet at that before Deku snaps his fingers and points that Marinette. Everybody looks at each other before everybody starts laughing. Morelia, well, since the shield hero was the one that their anger was aimed against, I should allow this as their sentences. There will be SDRPPD of all royal titles and will be moved to the lowest class just above slaves. But will have their SLV collars on permanently. And as the owner of this SLV collars, anytime they try to use them being ex-royalty as an excuse, a powerful shock will course through their body enough to hurt, but not enough to kill. When those words, I speak, Beaufort, SLV crest glow, a bright purple before the collar change, just too black, as the colors change to dog collars with their names on a dog tag. Yi sorts out his jacket. Before walking through the tunnel, he walks past some stairs as Melty and Morelia stand there waiting for Deku. Morelia, are you still planning on leaving? I would like to hold a ceremony before you go for your rewards of your deeds. Deku, I'll stick around till the end of the party, then I'm heading off with my crew. Melty, Mother, don't you think as a reward for defeating the Pope and stopping as many waves as he has mainly alone, he should have a look around the treasury? Morelia, good idea. After the party, I will take you to the royal treasury, and you may pick 3 items of your choice as compensation for what my family has caused you. Deku raises his fun before walking off. Deku stands outside of the building. Deku's crew stands there ready to go. They walk through the gate. to see armies of knights holding their sword in a salute manner that you continues to walk until he walks just out of the way of everybody. Deku turns around him, popping another piece of gum in his mouth, before jumping straight up in the air his party, second behind, as Valdora appears and flaps his wings. Flying off over the next few days, Deku is heading to monster layers and ripping through them for some XP. He doesn't manage to level up, but everybody heads back to the church to get their class upgrades. Deku walks toward it, Philo and Raphtalia walking up to the hourglass. When they touch it, a huge spark of black lightning strikes, both of them forming a set of wings on their shadows with their levels shooting up to 80. Then it strikes again, leveling them up to 94, only this time the shadows growing. Eyes and becoming conscious, Deku what looks at it. With confusion before their shadows that into his removing, given from their bodies, Deku snaps his fingers as a shadowy version of Philo and Raphtalia appear, then looking almost the exact same, except their skins is a pale blue, almost ghostly, with the rest of their bodies being black with blue outlines. Deku snaps his fingers, their shadows returning to them, making it seem like their shadows never left them. They head to the palace and come face to face with the queen. Morelia, I would like to talk to you about a party I'll be throwing later tonight for the 4 cardinal heroes. It's actually a cover-up for all 4 heroes to chat and swap ideas. Deku find. Later that night, everybody is enjoying a fancy party while Deku, the free cardinal heroes, asset in a dark room. Morelia, right, I would like to begin, but none of you seem happy to be here. Deku, since we're all here, how about we have a little heart-to-heart? Might as well get started. Morelia, it's no excuse that the Free Heroes Church caused trouble for all of you as the rule of this kingdom. I apologize. There's an area that comes around once every few years that doubles X.P for the heroes. That's when a knock is heard as Melty enters. Morelia, I've just heard that Beach tried to poison food heading for the Shield Heroes table. Deku, I'm guessing she got a painful shock. Melty, yes, she did. In fact, her body started to spaz after the shock. Morelia, I think maybe you lot should share what you have learned about your cardinal weapons with each other. Your techniques will improve, making it easier for you to defend against the ways. Motoyasu / Rem / Itsuki, what is there to share? Morelia, allow me to put it bluntly, if nothing changes between you, the next wave might be your last, and the only survivor would be Izuku Usagiyama. Rem, what do you mean by that? Morelia, free of you were defeated in the previous wave. The only way for you free to survive the next is to share, otherwise the entire world will be resting on the Shield Hero's shoulders. Think of this conference as a way to share your techniques. Motoyasu, all right, let's start with Izuku Usagiyama. You're able to use different kinds of weapons and abilities not even related to a shield. Deku, I'll tell you everything about my situation as long as you lot go first. Itsuki, what do you like think? Rem, looks like we have no choice. Motoyasu, fine, I'll go first. When you touch a weapon resembling your cardinal one, you instantly copy everything off it. Itsuki, yeah, it definitely helped during the early stages and help us get op items for free. Rem, well, if you feed your weapon your items with the appropriate crafting level, you can craft any item based on what materials you have. Itsuki, there was also a teleport skill that allows you to teleport to anywhere you've been. But here's something you might have not known: the higher ranking your weapon is, the stronger it is. Rem, don't lie to him, weapon proficiency is key. The more you use it, the more better it becomes. Motoyasu, are you too crazy? Boosting its stats is what is important. Deku watches the three of them argue while looking at his system. Deku watches as they speak, his system popping up at the functions that I've been mentioned. Deku slams his fist to the table, making everybody go quiet. Deku, that's it, I'm out of here. Deku walks to his room and sits down on the bed, holds his head while looking at Marinette and Issei. The next day, Deku is stood in the courtyard with Melty in adventure armor suited for her, waiting for Deku and his party. Deku, so where's the other heroes? Melty, they left this morning on a boat. Morelia, I'm getting you won't be taking a boat? System, new quest: 2 slow heroes beat the other 4 cardinal heroes to the island. Rewards 1 week until Shadow Army will arrive. Reward to 10x boost of XP gain while on the island. Deku, no, we'll be taking Valdora. Morelia, actually about that, your rewards in our treasury may we do it now, since you'll be leaving for a few days? Issei, come on, Deku. Deku shakes his head before following them to the treasury. Deku sees mountings of gold with two giant doors at the center. When the doors open, a huge armory with weapons that could be classed as holy artifacts. That's when Deku feels an immense aura emanating from a giant door. Deku walks towards it and puts his hand on the door. Morelia, I see you can sense its power even if it's been dead since the first cardinal heroes perished. The doors slowly open to reveal a giant skeleton of a dragon, easily twice the size of Eldora. You put his hand on the glass and notices where its head is a small system panel floating. Deku, want to know how I get my shadows? Melty, of course we do, but what are you? Oh no, Marinette/Issei. Oh yes. Deku touches the glass, the magic holding the glass together, makes it part away. So Deku is now touching the bad bones. Black smoke appears off Deku's hands as purple flames ignite in his right eye. Morelia, what are you doing? That creature killed the strongest cardinal heroes in history. Deku, you are a dragon, a mighty beast of apocalypse. Instead of resting in the cold embrace of death, you join the army of a monarch now. Surf the monarch, who calls your soul from the depths of the void. Arise. Deku's voice makes the entire castle stand still. Nothing dares to move as the bones of the fallen dragon statue shake. The dragon slowly awakens, its wings being the size of Eldora, its body half the size of Godzilla, its tail rivaling the length of two buses as its free giant horns on its head pulse with a sense of power that even can be felt by the other three cardinal heroes. The dragon slowly leans down. System, you have awakened the dragon of carnage. Infinite warning, infinite loyalty is absolute. Anyone threatens the player without hesitation. Infinite was slaughter them all. Infinite rank. The system cannot declare infinite a rank. New rank selected for infinite. Monarch Hand of Destruction. This ranking will only be given to those who are too powerful to be ranked by any means. Hidden question, even chaos will bow to a monarch completed. Find the dragon that killed the first cardinal heroes and add it to your army. Rewards 400 stat points plus 18 levels. Sacred Gear Infinite Abyss. Bonus quest, Rise Infinite 3x or less completed. Reward plus 3 levels 100 stat points. Bonus quest, Arise Infinite 2x or less. Reward plus 5 levels 200 stat points. Bonus quest, Arise Infinite First Try. Reward plus 10 levels 300 stat points. Deku stands there blinking at the system window in front of him. He speaks up, his voice shaky but commanding. Deku, Item Info Infinite Abyss. System, Item Infinite Abyss Sacred Gear created from the soul of Infinite. Form 1 a complete that covers the player's entire right arm resembling Infinite Arm. Well activated, all player stats will be boosted by 10 for every attack landed. Player starts will return to default when gear is disabled. Form 2 Draconic Armor for the player's arms and legs, and 2 black Draconic Wings will appear on the player's back, allowing flight float. Will disable player's starts will be increased by 60 per attack landed. Will reset when gear is disabled. Food form the Wings of Chaos. Get a full Draconic Armor resembling infinite magic cannons that can rip through 90% of items, can charge both cannons for a powerful attack, or fire individually for a spray. Burst cannons can also be used for flight. Player's stamina and M.P will be infinite well in second and third forms of Sacred Gear. In food form, regenerate 4% of max HP every second. In order to ascend to the next level, the player must eliminate 5 enemies in each foam. Infinite Speaker, she voice echoing through the castle, sending a shiver through all of the staff spines. Infinite. So you have awoken me from my eternal slumber. I'm surprised there is a necromancer strong enough. You're not a necromancer, are you? Deku stands firm, and his voice demands loyalty. Deku. No, I'm the Shadow Monarch. For a few seconds, Deku and Infinite get in a staring match before Infinite lets out a soft chuckle. Infinite. Well, my lord, my abilities are at your command. Use me as you see fit. Infinite enters Deku. shadow. Deku turns around to see everybody stood there in complete shock. Deku snaps his fingers, the sound echoing, snapping everybody out of their surprise and fear. After a while, they head to the docks, Melty following them. When they get there, they see all of the boat gone. Deku sees two people looking slightly annoyed, a tall redhead man covered in scars, carrying a giant warhammer on his back. The guy lets out his side before looking at Deku. He walks up to him, his expression one of curiosity but slight annoyance. Lark, what a bummer we missed the boats. I'm Lark. Deku, Izuku Usagiyama. We have a lift to the island if you want to come. Therese, I'm Therese, and yes, if you wouldn't mind. Deku can see their name tags are white, and they won't hold any threat to him. Deku, I don't mind giving you two a lift. They look around in confusion before Deku stomps his foot as a shadow extends as black, sadly tentacles shoot out and form a giant cocoon that like structure before separating and revealing Infinite. Deku steps on her back, with everybody hesitantly hopping on Infinite back. Deku slightly taps his foot as Infinite spreads her wings and flies towards the islands. Deku stands on Valdora's back just in front of him, while having the system open. Deku's expression that turns serious as he noticed his stat points and level. Deku, 1,180 stat points. Put 400 in both strength and agility. 200 vitality, 180 intelligence. Deku snaps his fingers as Infinite's abyss appears, its slick black design, with each crack a purple. That's when Deku notices a ship with the royal symbol on the back, and Deku flight right past it while flipping off a seasick free cardinal heroes to land. A minutes later, Infinite lands. The next day, Deku is creating soul swords, and they start firing right through, so that low-level monsters. Deku's party is ripping apart monsters before his P completely stops. Deku looks around and then notices the other cardinal heroes. He snaps his fingers as one skeleton appears and picks up some of the loot. Late that night, Deku and his party are camping. That's when Deku sees Therese and Lark chat for a while and head to a bar Deku is still curious about, then especially their name tags, but he pushes it away for now. Who find a bunch of berries and start eating them. His system keeps removing the poison. The next day, Best stood in front of a statue, and Deku pulls out a giant bracelet with 5 emeralds carved in with 1 ruby. Deku, I kind of in a few extra bits and bobs I had on hand. Deku and his squad heads to the highest level area that this place holds. While walking, they have slight conversations. Deku fires off a few soul swords and punching them to pieces. They get to the final boss, a giant gorilla statue, create 40 soul swords around it, and they pierce it in 100 different ways. Deku snaps his fingers as all the swords explode, bursting them to pieces. The next day, Deku, Marinette, Philo, Melty, Raftalia, and Issei hanging out at the beach, but Deku senses something and dives into the water. There's expression serious before anything could be said. Deku finds an old building underwater, and his shield grows, opening the doors. His eyes widen as he sees a dragon hourglass. With only 48 hours remaining, Deku comes back out of the water. Everybody looking at him confused. We time skip to 3 hours before the next wave. Everybody is stood on boats, waiting in the ocean, while Deku countdown slowly takes away. Deku stands on the crone nest, the countdown slowly ticking as everybody begins to talk about strategies. Marinette appears next to Deku, her expression serious. Marinette, we both know stuff's gonna get ugly. The entire ships light up with a golden glow before teleporting in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by cracked skies. Sea-based monsters start to fall out of the cracks and feel the ocean. Deku stands there. Deku pulls out blue rose and fires at all of the monsters, the bullets ripping through the water and killing them. Deku would then summons his shadows. Deku's shadows cover the boats and start swiping at all of the creatures that attack the boats. Deku dive into the water and stares down the biggest one. It's the same size as Godzilla. The Deku grins before punching it square in its face, sending it skidding back. The other heroes fire the strongest attacks, and it just bounces off. Deku uses shield prison to block all the ships as a crystal lights up on the beast as it and hits the shield. Nothing happens to the shield, but they dispel, and Deku looks at the last creature, Sam, that out of Deku's shadow and launches his daggers at the water, freezing the creature solid. Deku watches Therese and Lark attack the monsters on the ship, protecting everybody. Lark, the finishing blow on the bus, But Deku looks around, noticing that the sky, it's still the exact same decor lands on the body of the monster. Before noticing it's slightly breathing, Deku uses Tier 2 of Infinite's Abyss and rams his hand straight through the creature's skull, killing it. Deku rips his fist out before walking to Lark. Motoyasu. Hell yeah, we did it. Deku, what are you doing? Rem. Collecting the loot drops, since they always go to the heroes. Lark. Heroes, are you joking? You lot couldn't protect SHD. Lark swings his weapon as a tornado of metal appears, trying to rip apart Deku, and the other heroes dispels it with ease before looking at Therese and Lark. Deku, I thought we were cool. Lark, yet for the sake of our world, you have to die. For what it's worth, we have nothing against you. Therese, we are really sorry, but it has to be done. Deku, tisk tisk. I know you need us, that your world can survive now that I think about it. Lark, if you weren't the shield hero, we could have been friends. Deku watches as the other free heroes get up and rushes at Therese and Lark, but easily get knocked away. Therese cast a powerful fire spell that ranged from the sky at 20 times more powerful than she realized, completely annihilating one of the ships. Deku watches with both hands in his pockets. He uses shield prison to protect the rest. Deku's feet clicks against the scales of the creature. Therese, listen, we only have one target, the rest you can go peacefully. Deku, well, I'm guessing that target would be little old me. Everybody else stay out the way, I'm grab some fun. Lark spins a war hammer before rushing right at Deku and slamming it down. Deku stands there as attack, not even injuring him. Everybody's eyes widen, but then Deku kicks him in the stomach, sending him flying back. Decouples out Yamato while holding it behind his back. Lark, hold on, you can use other weapons. Deku, oh, I haven't even shown you my best card. This power is without peer. Is the ultimate strength. Black shadows shoot from Infinite's Abyss and wraps around his body. It slowly cracks as Deku, standing twice as tall with two giant wings that are twice his size to giant horns going back, a giant scale that whips the ground, slicing right through the monster's corpse like its air. His arms and legs resemble ones of dragons, while the faceplate opens up to reveal Deku's usual green eyes replaced with void black ones, and his expression one of excitement. Deku, now give me your best shot. That's when a bunch of magic-based attacks hit Deku, Paris, all of them, before raising his fist and slamming it down on. That's when Deku practically teleports right behind Therese and slams his hand down, cracking her bones and knocking her out. Glass, can you lot stop messing around? Deku gets a smirk as glass falls out the sky and hits the beast. Deku deactivate Infinite's Abyss while staring down glass. Deku, well, hello, classy. It's been a while. So shall we begin where we left off? Glass, I've gotten a lot stronger since we last met, Shield Hero. I might just say I'm as strong as you were back then. Deku, really? I believe I was like level 100 when we fought. Glass, I'm level 98. Deku, okay, so you're not far off of what I was, because right now I'm currently level 155, almost leveled up. Deku smirks as Glass's expression pales. Deku activate his chainsaw shield and just continues to block attacks from Grass. Without fleeting, Deku watches as Glass and her companions prepare a triple combo skill and fires it at Deku. Deku simply walks the attack, missing him by inches. Deku, listen, I can see at most you're pretty strong like that, but I know you're holding back. You probably got some op skills up here, but use them. It's too bad there's no more monsters, because they should kind of getting boring. That's when more cracks appear on the sky as Covenant ships start appearing out of them. Everybody stops. Issei, it's the Covenant from Halo. That's when the entire ocean inside the area gets frozen solid as hundreds of Covenant start appearing and attacking. Issei goes bonkers while ripping the Covenant to pieces with their own weapons and armors. Glass, I didn't want to use this, but Deku watches as all of their bodies start buffing up and turning slightly more demonic. Deku has a crazy smile while he watches their names slowly change from white to red. Deku, oh, this will be fine. Lark, we ain't going down, but you are. Deku, so you might have missed this last time, Glass, because I don't think I used it. But there's a saying in my family. Glass, what are you talking about? Deku, all of these thoughts running through my head. Arm on fire, veins burning red. Frustration is getting bigger. Bang, 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 pull my devil trigger. Deku transforms into its devil trigger. Deku watches as the three of them statutes, shaking in panic and fear, because in front of them isn't a human with unbelievable power. It is a devil of mass destruction. That's when Deku's shadow slowly grows beneath his feet as an intimidating aura that even makes the Covenant stop in fear as Deku stands in the sky on top of Infinite Head. Marinette, I've heard of a boss entrance. Issei, but that is awesome. Deku, so shall we begin? And I heard your little speech earlier about saving your world before you ask, why am I doing it? I'm just looking for a way back home. This world has been nothing but cruel to me from the moment I stepped in here. Yes, I have power beyond belief, but how I would have gotten this strong in my world minus half the bullshit. So as soon as these waves done, and I have a shot to go back home with my family, I will be going back. Now you wanted a battle, you've got one. Everybody's confused, but then Deku's shield changes to the max out rage shield, making everybody's eyes widen glass, sees his name tag above him change from red to scarlet black with her system, giving her one message. Glass system. Warning, warning, run, warning, warning. Deku watches as their eyes widen, as their bodies grow golden and get sucked into the rift. The wave finishes as Deku and Infinite wipe out the remaining Covenant ships in the blink of an eye. Wu land on the boat and transforms out of his devil trigger. Rim, whatever that was my system told me to run. Itsuki / Motoyasu. Same here. Deku watches as their bodies start to shake. The next day, Deku is sat against a rock while his party is fishing. Deku purchases a huge crate of flag grenades and chucks one into the water. It explodes, making a bunch of fish fire and then land on the top of the water. Issei, grenade, fish, and hay. Marinette, what made you bring out something classic? Raftalia, I still don't get your guys' relationship, but it doesn't look like we can leave for a few days. The sky is going to be way too cloudy, and the stone will throw off 90% of creature senses. Deku raises an eyebrow before choking it up to being raised in a fishing village. Deku continues fishing with grenades. The sun starts to set as Deku is walking back with his party. Deku continues to walk. Deku notices a girl trying to drown herself, but he manages to save her. They sit at the same bar that they were at the other day. Deku chats with her for a bit and realizes she was in the Bow Heroes party but got kicked out for a stupid reason. Deku, listen, I don't like freeloaders, so you're going to have to pull your weight. The rest of us pull our weight in other ways. I wouldn't mind too many to help with looting. She nods, and Deku slightly smiles before they right the boat back towards the mainland. Deku heads down below to where the beds are. Deku notices that something is off. Infinite sticks her head out of his shadow. Infinite, that power you showed before was part of the Sparta lineage, wasn't it? Deku, so what exactly do you know about my dad's side of the family? Infinite, I can't say much about it. I've never met any of them, but I can sense his presence all over you. Deku, you said you felt something off. What was it? Infinite, that sacred gear my body is part of. I'm not sure, but it's like my conscience has been split and my power, every time it is activated, I feel my power getting stronger. Deku, you fought the previous heroes. Compared to them, how are we looking? Infinite, the first shield hero, compared to you at most, he was resembling glass, powerful, but easily defeatable, and the ever-free heroes, any one of the previous heroes could have wiped them out by now, and that is putting it lightly. Deku, at this rate, the other heroes will be dead pretty soon. I can't help them get stronger, because if we're all close to each other, they lose out on strength. Infinite, after seeing that display of power we showed them, they won't be dying for the next few waves, but destruction will be coming for them one way or another. Deku, so this world will be up to me to save no matter what. Glass, I hope you can hear this, because if it does come down to it, the avalanche between us will not go quietly. We see Sparta and Ashbourne looking at the crystal. We have Ashbourne's expression serious. Ashbourne, you've defeated one of the monarchs. You have one under your belt, and whatever else you got, my army should give you a helping hand. But Infinite, she's probably one of the Dragon Monarch's original creations. Sparta, don't hold my great-grandson under low regards after what we've just seen of him. I'll be surprised if he would fully access the black heart. Deku wakes up. He is the ocean rushing by, the boat birds flapping their wings and the sails blowing in the wind. Deku walks out of his room and leans over the railing, looking into the ocean. Footsteps are heard next to Deku. Deku, you have questions, I might have some answers. Morelia, may I see this devil trigger? You keep transforming until I've never actually got a good look at it. Deku walks to the center of the boat, where there is an open area, he closes both of his eyes. As a huge pulse of purple energy erupts from his body, he stands there in his Devil Trigger. System. You haven unlocked sin Devil Trigger. Deku feels something deeper within him awakened. He closes both of his eyes and takes a deep breath. His scales begin to crack in an elegant way. His body grows to 9 feet, 10 inches. His scales become darker, and his horns become longer. His horns wrap around like a goat's, but then curve in towards his forehead and stick out straight ahead. Just above his eyes, the bottom half of his face is covered by what looks to be a black mask with teeth built into it, but on second glance, looks to be his mouth 1 inch. Spikes facing up on a 45-degree angle with 2 inches of space between them are spread out across his arms up to his shoulder. His legs look like boot from a knight. The only difference is with the same spikes running up to his knee. Every joint on his body is a dark purple that seems to pulse with his heartbeat. He grows a massive tail, 10 in length, with the same spikes spinning around it like a drill. His fingers and now sharp claws that look like they could cut through the strongest material. Without a second thought, on his chest is a diamond shape that is the same dark purple as his joints, but with the center being a pitch black. On his back at 4 wings, 2 of them being 20 in length and 5 meters in width. Their black skeleton-like structure holding them together with a faint purple covering the webbing. His 2 small little wings sprout around his midsection. Just below his rib cage, they're barely 5 meters in length, but look the exact same as the big ones. His once pale skin now replaced by a dark green skin that almost looks black. In his left arm, a giant spike goes from his wrist to just over his head but stops. Connecting to the body at the elbow inside of the spike is a handle for a sword. Deku draws the sword to reveal a black one-handed long sword with a black blade with a dark purple hilt resembling an axe head. The blade glimmers in the early morning sunlight, casting a demonic presence across the ship. System. New skill sin Devil Trigger. Your perfected Devil Trigger. In this state, you'll negate 99% of all attacks. All stats will be times by your level M.P. Infinite stamina, infinite HP will be times by player's level. Sin Devil Trigger Longsword. This sword is made from the player's sword, is completely indestructible, and uses the same traits as both Black Rose Sword and Yamato, but being able to appear whether in Sin Devil Trigger, or regular form sword. Has 3 transformations. Great Sword. Your sword will triple in size, and becoming an infernal blade. Temperature can be between -100 degrees Celsius to 10,000 degrees Celsius. Katana will make the blade as thin as paper, but indestructible. Will increase the player agility by x25, and will be dealing ice damage that can instantly freeze your opponent solid, while being sliced into atoms. One-handed long sword blade will have the same properties as listed not in the other states, but would be passive of lifesteal. When Playa lands a hit on an enemy player, will gain 100% of their H.P. to regenerate your own long sword boat. Apply Venom's Dagger Poison. Rank 2, deal 1% of max HP damage per 2 seconds, effect 20 seconds. Each hit will refresh the timer. Deku. Holy SHD. Morelia. How come I can't sense your presence anymore? Deku. I'm a little kaiju demand with giant wings, and that's all you have to ask. Probably because I'm way too strong. My presence is non-existent. We cut to a few days later. All 4 cardinal heroes, including Melty and Morelia, sat in the same room as last time. Morelia. After the last wave, now you know the gap between you now. I'm putting this lightly, but you all need to share how you get stronger. Deku. Starts off the whole mastery things, that rarity in that you were talking about. Yeah, all that's real. Turns out the system changes based on what kind you're used to. The only thing is I don't really need the weapon mastery in that, since all my weapons are practically stuck at one thing. Rim. Alright, what about that whole demonic thing you did and that overpowered shield? Deku. That shield is actually the deadly sin of wrath. Turns out I cannot weapons. Actually, I'll link to a deadly sin, but I'm not sure who has what deadly sins. And since there are only 7, which could mean one of us could have more than the other, I'm not sure. And that demonic thing is actually called Devil Trigger. It's actually a bloodline skill in my family, mainly from my dad's side. Motoyasu. Oh, really? How comes? Deku. Well, like I explained to you earlier, my dad is the grandson of the demon Sparta, who decided to disobey hell and separated from the human world. He lost his power and got stuck on Earth. You survived for eons, eventually settling down and having twins, which is my grandpa and his brother. Then the bloodline kind of got their abilities back with those two, and then it kind of just descended. It's Suki. So you're Dante's or Virgil's grandkid? Deku, Dante's. It's Suki, even though you act more like Virgil. But before you ask, yeah, they're kind of rounding my world, hunting demons, and that I've ran into Dante a few times. He actually worked with my old man, and well, I never got into the business. Rem, hey, can I see those two swords you have? Deku rolls his eyes before pulling out both Yamato and Black Rose sword. He places them on the table, and Rem grabs them. Both his swords spark for a few seconds before turning into Black Rose. The only difference is where the rosewoods, it has been replaced with the crystal inside of the rose. He tries to SWCH the blade, but a black spark happens on his sword before not working. Rem, okay, Black Rose is working fine. I see he also has a somewhat of forms of fat for Minecraft. But about Yamato, it says here, I can't access it since I'm not a part demon. Do you know what that is about? Deku, Fort as much. That is one of the free swords of Sparta, the other two being, well, his blade, and then the blade he made for Dante. And since they were made using pure demon BLD, only somebody with demon BLD can use them. But if you somehow be able to either become a demon, or I don't know, get some demon BLD running through you, you might be able to access them. He nods along, but then his eyes widen when he sees the blade statue, then start choking on air while looking at the blade, which surprise. Rem, the latest hack damage is infinite, would be passive ability to cut through literally anything the user desires, and it has a built-in skill that allows it to open portals with the dash. Deku, yeah, well, it's actually a Spark tradition to get your own blade. After a certain age, before you ask, yes, I do have my own, I just currently can't control it since it's way too powerful. Motoyasu, before we continue with whatever we've learned about that devil trigger, is that just like a one-time thing, or... Deku, well, the devil trigger you've been seeing is actually just that devil trigger. It's when I lean more towards demon than human, giving me a massive increase in all my stats and other stuff, but it isn't perfected version. Deku watches as all of their eyes widen apart from Aurelia, who remembers seeing it earlier that week. Deku, the perfected version is called Sin Devil Trigger, and unlike Devil Trigger Way, it has a time limit, and I could keep up the time limit by killing this one. I could be indefinitely. And the only downside about that is, well, nothing. It gives me infinite mana, infinite stamina, and literally it will times my stats based on my level. So meaning if I was level 2 and I unlocked it, all my stats will be timed by 2, and since I'm 150. 5, you could put it together. Melty, before the Ever Heroes go into a mental breakdown, let's have those lot explain what they've known. Rim, okay, getting out of the way, I figured out you can also track your party members 24/7 and see their own stat sheets. Apart from the previous stuff I mentioned, you can also fuse your cardinal weapon with items to give it effects like attaching a chain to it, or something else like that. Motoyasu. Yeah, I filled out the combining bit a while ago, but apart from that I have also been able to get quests from the system that will help me level it faster, might give me random amount of XP, and we reward based on the quest, and that's about it. Deku. Oh, I've been getting Ks since day 1. Hell, I even get a daily quest that gives me keys to a dungeon that is technically on the icon access, but I can allow other people to enter, but lately I haven't got any. It's Suki. If you feed your cardinal weapon a broken weapon that isn't related. Tier 1, like I fed my bow a shattered sword's blade, and now I can kind of make a bow staff, but it is more or less a double sword, but with a piece of string for the bow, but it won't work if it's the actual weapon here, have to be the blade or a piece off the weapon. Morelia, is there anything else you want to share? Deku, you know what? And I'm telling you all about my system. I mean my full system, not the Cardinal Shield one. Morelia, are you sure you want to disclose that information? Once you do, there is no going back. Deku, why not a few months before coming to this world, I was on my way back from school. I woke up inside of a dungeon. The first one I ever went in, there was giant statues that could have one shot level 50 to 60 in that dungeon. I saw what got an ability that allowed in me to resurrect a certain point in the dungeon. I was there for hours, maybe days, figuring out how to escape. When I managed to get to the last trial to escape, I was on the break of death again, but this time I knew that return by death was over. Didn't know for sure, but I could send it on death's door. The system appeared in front of me. I accepted the system without any worries because I was going to die there or I actually get something that day. My life changed. The system became known to me a few weeks later. I went into a dungeon. I was followed by some guys. And while we headed to the final boss of the dungeon and I tamed it, it became my familiar. The guys that were following me turned out to be very bad guys. And while they tried to kill me that day, I killed 6 people. And 3 minutes later that day, after I made sure I was full with everything, I went out to complete a job change quest. Motoyasu. Job change? Deku. Think of it like a class. The only difference is compared to a class, the job is something you're good at, but you can still use other things. When I entered the dungeon for the job change quest, I fought, and that's why I met. Deku snaps his fingers as Igris appears next to him, holding his great sword next to him. Deku. Igris, we thought I could have died if it wasn't for my 60 seconds of immortality. I just managed to squeeze out the win. But then the actual quest began. I was overwhelmed and on the brink of death good for I didn't complete my daily quest and went to the penalty zone where I might need to level up and sort out myself before heading back to there. I figured out what made this the job change quest, and when that's where I got my class shadow. Monarch. First, it was Necromancer, but then it immediately evolved into Shadow Monarch. With Shadow Monarch, I can extract the shadows of a fallen opponent and turn them into a soldier, but it turns out Shadow Monarch wasn't actually a class, and I'm actually a successor to the original Shadow Monarch, which I'm still not sure what the monarchs are and how they play out. But yeah, his name was Ashborn, and well, now I'm like this. But it wasn't until a few weeks after coming to this world I found out about my lineage. And well, that's where I found out being a Sparta was well what I am. And after all that, well, I kind of just kept getting stronger. Motoyasu. You're lying. There is no way you had a goddamn head start and be able to do all of that within 11 months upcoming to this world. Deku. Yes. Now if you want to excuse me. Deku gets up and heads out of the room and sees Raftalia, Philo Marinette, and Issei kick the SHD out of the heroes' parties. Deku, Rem, Itsuki, and Motoyasu watches each party gets SHD rocked by Deku's party. Deku, that's enough. Everybody stops and looks at Deku. Issei punches the tank in this bowl heroes' party. Deku shakes his head before setting off with his party Melty quickly catching up to Deku. The next day, all of Deku's party wakes up groaning that could be heard from all through Decade's village Rishia, and Deku's stunned on the docks looking over the ocean. Deku has a slight smile when he hears his pie members groan, but silently is crying since he can't get drunk. Because of the system. Deku, you need to get stronger. Rishia, at this point, you won't be able to keep up with Marinette, and she's probably the weakest in the group without using the miraculous. Rishia, I understand, it's just I was always told to stay in the backlands and just carry medical supplies. Deku, I will be having Issei train you on how to use magic. I can sense you got a strong magic affinity, but not knowing how to use it is quite worrying. Maybe you can use it to teach us some martial arts, since quite frankly, out of all of us, the most martial arts we have is random bullshit. Deku hears a screech from the other side of the village. Deku immediately rushes over there and sees giant bat-like monsters swooping down ready to attack. Decouples out Yamato and slices them in midair. Deku pulls out Blue Rose and start firing at the remaining Dekker's party, immediately rushes their weapons drawn. Deku looks around and touches one of the bats. Marinette. Status? Deku. The wave timer stopped now. There's a blue timer. It just shows 7. The next day, all 4 cardinal heroes and Morelia sit in the same room with a serious expression. Morelia, I'm glad you can all make it on such short notice. Deku, I'm guessing it's about those but monsters. Motoyasu, they're not wave monsters, I can tell you that much. Morelia, then it must be back. Deku, continue. Morelia, I wasn't sure at first. This means the legendary monster called the Spirit Tortoise must have revived in the Spirit Tortoise Kingdom. So much for our progress. One every few centuries the Spirit taught us is meant to bring a great disaster to the world. We believe that the monsters that you described are an effect of the Spirit Tortoise Reviva. Deku watches as all the other heroes just ignore him, get up, and walk out. Deku sits. Deku, this Spirit Tortoise sounds like a raid boss. Morelia, do you have what it takes to deal with this spirit horse? Because I'm afraid if you leave it to go on a rampage, it will slaughter everyone and anything in its path. And if it's heading in the direction my sources say, your village will be hit before the castle. Deku, I could do the XP. Besides, I don't have anything planned for a few days. Morelia, how's my daughter doing? Deku, She's doing good, she's around level 50, could probably put up a decent fight against the Bao hero, and let me property decent fight, but won't when her specialty is magic, but I'm getting her into using daggers instead of using a staff for concentration, since that goes are not only good for magic, they can also be good for combat. Morelia, I see, well, it's a good thing, I'll let her go on the adventures with you. We cut to Erhardt's blacksmith stud in front of the counter. While his party looks around the place, Marinette is secretly copying all of the daggers for her own. Deku, I need you to check out a blade of mine. Erhardt, show kid, let me see it. In a blink of an eye, Deku pulls out his long sword and places it on the counter. As soon as it touches, and Deku lets go, the wood begins to creep as it cracks under the weight. Deku raises an eyebrow. Erhardt looks at the sword with surprise. He runs his finger along the smooth blade that seems to have zero friction, and his eyes widen. Erhardt, now that's one sweet blade. Okay, I can tell you about that blade. Well, nothing, just by running my hand across it. I can tell it's practically indestructible, sharper than anything I have seen, and looks like it's been pulled straight out of a demon's soul. Deku, yeah, well, that is the physical representation of my soul, and it can turn into a great sword and a katana, which I haven't got to test out yet. Philo pokes her finger on the tip, has as soon as a bit of BLD is drawn on her finger, immediately get absorbed by the blade, making Deku raising eyebrow. Erhardt, so what's this beast name? You don't have a name for this wonder, do you? Deku, I mean, I haven't had it long, plus I haven't even got to swing it properly, or in fact when you're at all, so I'm still wondering on the name. As soon as Deku touches the blade, an instrument in English appears. Erhardt, so, but I can't read your world language, what the hell did that say? Deku, it says the last descendant of Sparta, void, sword Venus de Noah. A little while later, Deku sat with his party inside the slave trader's tag, getting Rishia, a SLV collar, and sleeve crest to upheld XP gain. Deku heads out of the small tent as the crest is being placed on her. Deku walks around. Deku is looking around the SLV tent, and then he gets a devious smirk as he sees a closed-off SLV cage. The SLV trader approaches him, and he looks at the SLV Deku has his eyes on. SLV trader, I see you have your eyes on a new SLV. This one is kind of a tricky one, since one we've never seen this kind before, and because it is so rare. The SLV trader removes the cloak covering the cage decor, was expecting to see someone even closely related to his world, but what he sees shocks him to the core. An elegant younger lady with two big goat horns on the side of her head, pure white hair to bat-like wings, a scaly tail resembling a dragon's covered in spikes. Her arms have giant white claws resembling the dragon's, with a set of very sharp teeth that looks like they can rip through solid metal. Deku, okay, this is a nice one. Alpha. Alpha, you called. Deku, take this girl and she might be a good addition to Shadow Garden. Before the SLV trader could say anything, Deku hands him a small sack of 100 gold. Alpha knocks out the girl before taking her away, not even bothering for any SLV crust. Deku, you guys were setting off, we'll be taking Infinite. Everybody gives Deku a thumbs up before the next day. They're all stood on Infinite back, flying across the kingdom, heading to where the meeting spot. On their way there, they come across a swarm of monsters attacking civilians. Deku hops straight down and looks straight at all of the monsters. Deku releases his demonic aura, getting all of the monsters' attention. They all rush at him and are about to attack him. Deku immediately snaps his fingers as hundreds of soul swords surround him and then pierce all of the monsters in rapid succession. System. Level up, level up. That's when Deku's party lands next to him, with Infinite returning to his shadow. In a blink of an eye, Deku heads to an old-fashioned dojo filled with representatives for a few other kingdoms. Deku leans against the wall for a few minutes, overhearing their chats. Deku, so this thing targets heavily populated areas, which means it'll be passing through the smaller kingdoms while heading to the bigger ones, causing giant amount of destruction in its path. Overwhelming it with numbers could work, but you also need a valuable strategy. Me and my party will be on the front line. The rest of you stay on the backlands and provide cover fire. Leader 1, who put you in charge? Deku, me and my party are the strongest thing this world has got. I have free dragons in my sleeve. A friend of mine has one sealed inside of him. Leader 2, what about the vassal weapons users? Deku, I have 2 of my ranks, well, 3 of my ranks. That's when the same lady as the everyday appears instead, explaining that she is the familiar of the soul tortoise. Deku, let me get this straight, lady, you're familiar to the soul tortoise, and in order to win, we have got what humanoid die by the ways the soul tortoise collects enough souls to kill the waves kinder, or we kill the soul tortoise. Turtle familiar. That is correct, shield hero. I'm really sorry. Deku, salt tortoise is out there killing people even though it doesn't want to. Song's easy enough. So this is how the plan is going to go. You all are going to get ready you biggest weapons you've got and concentrate all fire directly for a headshot. In the meantime, me and my party will make our way towards it and hit the giant turtle with everything we've got, and included my 2 nuclear bombs, my overpowered skills, and my entire shadow army. Leader 3, you're at like how much shadow is so-called soldiers because you have altogether our forces bring around 30,000 to the mix. Deku, well, I currently have a few of my soldiers here, there, and everywhere, so around 25,000 and odd. Deku watches as all of the leaders start choking on air while looking at him wide-eyed and pale. Total familiar. Well, Mr. Shield Hero knows one thing you should know. It has an extremely fast regeneration that is almost instant, but while it's regenerating, it is completely immobile. Deku, now if you excuses me, I have a total to kill. Deku stands up the chair, falling back. Behind him, Deku walks out his party, ready to go. All of the leaders are trying to stop him from making anything stupid when they had a plan. Deku, come forth. Deku's shadow extends as he walks ahead, everybody surprised as an entire army of different kind of monsters and creatures from an Army of Shadows party is ready to go as Infinite appears beneath his party and flies straight towards the Soul Tortoise. Deku's army begins their match, leaving him behind. Morelia, may I know why you're staying back when your army is going forward? Deku, well, I haven't had a time to use this since I've got it, and I'm kind of worn or spread my wings. Deku closes at both of his eyes as black sparks come off his body as a huge pulse of energy gets sent out, blinding everyone. They see Deku stood there in his devil trigger form. Deku spreads his wings and gives him a quick flap, causing a shockwave that can be felt for miles. Deku immediately start running jumps in the air and boost with his wings as soon as his wings flap that caused a huge shockwave from breaking the sound barrier. Mid-flight, Deku pulls out Venus de Noah and flies straight at an army of bats midair, doing backflips and fancy dance move. While slicing them apart in seconds, Deku catches up to his army, which are full sprinting towards an army of yetis with turtle shells on their back, and slicing them apart with ease. Deku captures up to his party on Infinite back, Marinette, his wings flapping, and then looks towards Deku, gives him a nod before turning back forward, and then looking at Decor again, but with wide eyes and Slack Joel. Everybody's confused, but when they see Deku's Devil Trigger, all the of them look at him surprised. Deku, sup? Issei, I thought I was the demons at the party. Deku, oh, you are on the devil. That's when Deku sees a turtle twice the size of Godzilla with a mountain of spikes on it back. Deku stops in midair, right in front of Infinite Valdora, and Alex pulling up right next to him. Deku holds his long sword before closing his eyes. It triples in length, being a 100 feet long and 6 meters wide. The blade ignites into black flames. Deku, take care of the little guys, I got the turtle. Deku leans forward, his wings flapping. Every few seconds, Deku's party gets dropped off by Infinite before Infinite flies right next to Deku while smoking. Infinite, so what's the plan? Deku, Monarch's domain. System, Shadow Monarch domain has upgraded to Demonic Shadows domain, will times the shadow's strength by the player's level and giving them a demonic-like appearance. Deku Ryoiki Tenkai. Demonic Shadows. That's when the entire battlefield spanning for miles becomes purple like magma, with all of his shadows taking a demonic-like appearance, and believe all of the creatures sent by the turtle Infinite triples in size, resembling Godzilla, her horns most jagged and spiky, with growing a second set of wings on top of her, already once with her body being covered in spikes, with a second set of horns going from her first set, but around, and sticking out just below her jaw. Deku flaps his wings before, almost teleporting behind the turtle as a thin line of golden flames rip through the turtle, but not slicing it in half, but burning half of its body, negating its regeneration. Deku continues teleporting and slicing the turtle, regenerating very slowly, but still on the same level, as the demon monarchs was Deku gets annoyed before standing in the midair in a quick draw stance with his wings flapping. Deku, you shall die. Background music. I am the storm that is approaching, provoking black clouds in isolation. I am reclaimer of my name. Born in flames, I have been blessed. My family crest is a demon of death. The spirit tortoise gets ripped to shreds with its organs being exposed. Deku immediately pulls out the BFG and fires a round straight into the spirit tortoise's heart. It directly hits, making it completely stop for a few seconds before its head turns to Deku as its body starts to regenerate slowly, but Deku notices where one heart was two more eyes still beating immediately. Activate Infinite's Abyss at its max level, while also having the rage shield out. Deku rams his great sword straight into the second heart, as the soul tortoise shall close this off. Deku's access to its final heart. Deku flies around it at very fast speed, creating a billions of soul swords. I say bounce off its tough shell. The soul tortoise begins making giant swords resembling Deku's soul swords, except purple. They fire and blast straight towards Deku's army, destroying them, but its shadows. Immediately coming back, the spirit tortoise absorbs purple light straight into its mouth before firing a huge beam of light straight at Deku, sending him crashing straight into the ground, ripping up at Deku's stanza. Without a scratch, the soul tortoise fires another blast straight towards Deku. Deku uses his big wings as a shield, protecting himself and his allies behind him. Issei, is too many of them. We need a different plan. Deku, how many boosts do you have stored up? Issei, 25. Deku, I'm dealing enough damage, but its shell is too tough. Marinette, do we have anything that can hit harder? Philo, what about the explosions you've got? Deku, you are too close for any of them. Deku, his wings, a huge pulse of energy coming off of Deku. Title change: One Who Overcame Death. System, playlist titled One Who Overcame Death. Raftalia, what would changing your title do at the time like this? Deku smirks before spinning his blade around in a reverse grip, grabs it with both hands, and stabs himself right through the gut. He rags it out and stabbed himself again and again. System, 185 firsts, 243, 908, 749, H.P. Deku rags the sword out of his gut, BLD, splattering everywhere. Deku flaps his wings twice before bolting straight towards the soul tortoise before slicing it straight down the middle with Venus de Noah in its katana state, cutting through the entire body like paper. Deku sees body quickly regenerate, but the other hearts not regenerating. Deku flaps his wings and bullets straight up into the sky. Its entire body stops moving as Deku runs a straight down onto it, ripping through the tortoise's armor and piercing its last heart. It hits the ground completely immobile. Every injury on the spirit tortoise regenerate, but it stays there completely immobile. Deku immediately flies to its head and decapitates it. Deku locks at his entire army, cleaning up all the familiars left behind. Deku lands next to them all of the shadows returning the next day. Deku is on the back of the soul tortoise with his party and a few of the Queen's guards. A small village completely destroyed to check out the Temple of the Soul Tortoise, and after a few minutes it collapses. Tortoise familiar. I remember now how to permanent defeat it. There's one heart that will only appear once the beast is slain, but can only be seen when you're inside of it. Issei. So we got to go inside of the thing and kill it permanently. Should be easy enough. Deku. Raftalia, Philo, you to stay behind and keep an eye on things out here. Marinette and Issei, you're with me. We'll find this last heart and kill it permanently. Rishia, please can I come with you? Deku, stay on the backlands. Without arguments, Deku's small team heads inside of the ruins. Inside of it, there's a hole that resembles a cave entrance. Deku walks down and sees some adventurers that are about to walk past him without saying anything, but Deku pulls out Yamato and puts it in front of them. Deku, Therese Glass, Lark, how you been? Them drop the illusion spell and look at Deku, slightly panicking but mainly acting kind. Lark, how you been, kiddo? Deku, must I check you lot well meant to be home? I'm getting you free for the same reason we are, because some dumbass is trying to control giant beasts to raise havoc on both of our world. Glass, you have a nail right on the head. Lark, Listen, we don't want to fight. How about intrudes until the dumbass is dead? Deku. Fine, but it's only a truce you try and betray me or even backstab me. Well, you know how that went. Deku continues to walk his party, glaring at this free of them before heading deeper inside of the soul tortoise. They continue to walk around and eventually getting to an area where the walls are made of organs. The family make it to the heart, and Deku sees a crazy white man standing right next to her bright yellowish orange heart. Dumbass. Listen, I control the soul tortoise. As soon as it wakes up, I'm using it to rain havoc on this world. Those other free people from my world, they're currently running around the string, a couple hundred fake hearts. Deku. Release the souls and let the tortoise die, or else. Dumbass. Was that a threat? I chose this world because there is no one who can defeat me. So how about you shut up and leave me be, since the other free heroes were very stupid. Deku walks towards a guy. He's about to try and teleport away with that kid, grabs him by the leg, snaps it, and ripped it off mid-swing down, slamming him into the ground. The dude looks at his leg in fear. Deku pulls out Blue Rose and slides the saber back. He fires 2 rounds straight into the heart, making 4 small holes appear. Deku purchases a hanger knee from his system shop, pulls the pin, and punches right into the hole in the heart you let go, before ripping it out, and the heart explodes. That when a huge hole appears in the ground, and Deku jumps straight down the ground, begins to shape as the soul taught us begins to revive and get ready to attack. Deku's eyes widens slightly. Deku enters a crystal blue room with a weird insignia inside of a crystal heart. Deku sees Dumbass that laughing. Dumbass. Well, looks like somebody figured it out. That's so cool. Spirit tortoise familiar is actually it's hot as long as that thing's alive. Oh, and look at that, right on time. Looks like it has revived. Deku sees the other free cardinal heroes trapped inside of glass tubes filled with purple liquid, with their energies being siphoned. Deku, I don't have a teleportation skill. Oh wait, I do. Deku pulls out Venus Zenoa in its katana state and acts in the air, forming a black portal through space and time. Deku snaps his fingers as a shadow angel appears behind each of the cardinal heroes and breaks them out of the crystals. Dumbass eyes widen as Deku casually throws the cuddles here out of their Deku's party, immediately heads out while leaving the spirit tortoise familiar behind. Dumbass. What are you doing? You know the only way to defeat this is destroying all 3 hearts at once. It's simultaneously destroying its head. And you want to face me alone? I control every familiar this thing has. And what are you, some human? Deku lights out an annoyed sigh before his eyes lock with the chamber next to where the free cardinal heroes worth, and sees Miyabi there unconscious with her blade next to her. Dumbass. Yes, see, I found that little one somewhere, and she has just been the best power source. Deku casually walks up to the case and smashes it with his bare hand. He pulls out a phoenix tear and drops it in her mouth. She wakes up holding her blade and points it straight to Deku's throat. Their eyes lock before she gives him a hug. Miyabi, what are you doing here? Cousin? Deku, you're touched by Dumbass over there. So, I intend you have Devil Trigger get up your sleeve. She immediately turns into a Devil Trigger form, her skin turning blue with her hair going long and white. She has the same spike sheath for a sword on her arm. I set you spikes form down like a skirt while her legs take a more animalistic appearance. She looks at Deku, and Deku immediately goes sing Devil Trigger. Dumbass eyes widen before they both get into a quick draw stance. Deku closing his eyes and using demon stance, so his Devil Trigger stand behind him with Black Rose sword, and Deku hands Miyabi Yamato. She gets ready. Deku, you ready? Dumbass, what the hell do you think you can do? There's no way you can re-ove its head and free hearts at the exact same time. I was killing that's familiar. Deku, slay all. Miyabi, you shall die. Deku's Devil Trigger. Musical note, jackpot. Musical note. All of the soldiers outside only sees flashes of red, purple, and blue slicing the air around the soul tortoise in fractions of a second, resembling a light show the heavens sing the words. I am the storm that is approaching, provoking black clouds in isolation. I am reclaimer of my name. Born in flames, I have been blessed. My family crest is a demon of death. Deku and Miyabi stuns in front of everybody and sheathes their weapons into their arms as the streaks of light rip through the tortoise's body, reducing the body to ruins, slicing it from the inside, and out making it inside, turning to mush as its body drops. They're completely dead. System: X110 levels. Hidden quest: Soul Tortoise destroyed. Eliminate the salt tortoise. Reward: 1-1 random family member. Return to the plane of the living 1 time. Skill: Demonic Heritage. Demonic Heritage info: The next girl you make with have a 100% chance of PRG and NCY, and will be giving an offspring 90%, demoned 5% human, and the remaining 5%, the mother species unity, will be at 100% with no downsides. Warning: until skill is used, player will be in a constant heat CYCL and very aggressive. Please choose your mate for the system to target. Deku looks at Miyabi and passes her to Issei. Deku: take her back to the village, make sure she's safe. Issei: and you? Deku: dumbass isn't dead, I'm going after him. Marinette: you're not doing this alone. Deku: sorry, but I have to. He hurt my family, this just became personal. Deku walks up to a portal on the ground and hops through immediately. It closes. Issei: what is the spirit tortoise turn into golden dust as the once barren wasteland grows grass. He holds Miyabi in his hands before turning back to the remaining members of Deku's squad. Deku wakes up in a prison cell, walks up to the door, and opens it. You walked out of there with both hands in his pockets. Deku sees he's on a beach with the doorway. Deku turns around to see a forest. Deku walks through the forest with both hands in his pockets, then stops. Deku: 400 agility, 150 vitality. Deku continues to walk. A bunch of cardboard boxes with faces attack him, but Deku casually whacks them into pieces with his bare hands. The sun begins to set. Becky walks up to a river and a monster leap out of it. It looks like a fish, but Deku just shrugs and casually slaps it at breakneck speed, snapping its neck, killing it instantly. That's when a girl with long brown hair, carrying a fishing rod, and wearing a dark dress, Deku, follows her back to the prison. Like they begin to talk, and Deku find out she's a cardinal hero from the world he's in currently. Kizuna: right where my manners, I'm Kizuna Kazayama. Deku: izuku Sparta. You got something to eat? Deku cook her a small meal, and they begin to eat. Deku: while I'm playing, I'm getting out of here. Kizuna: you can't get out, this place is infinite, no way in or out, trust me, I've tried. Deku: trust me, there's always a way out, even Nevada, nuke this place. Kizuna: well, you got a nuke up your sleeve? Deku raises 2 fingers. We cut to next day. Deku is walking through an old church. When they get to the area where most people sit, a few boards sit there. Deku walks up to the boards and easily rip them off and hit an invisible barrier. Deku blinks before punching it, and nothing happens. Deku: seems like a bug in the system. Kizuna: exactly, but there's no way to exit it. Deku: well, what would happen if the building got destroyed in a bugged-out area? Kizuna: usually the building would glitch through the map and dissap. Deku reaches into his system and pulls a crate of TNT. Walk out the room before Deku detonates it, destroying the floor and making them fall through the abyss. Deku picks a lap before folding straight down into an old temple that he looks around confused with. Kizuna sat on her knees looking around. Deku: that was easy. Kizuna jumps on Deku and continuously keeps thanking him. After a while, Deku walks up to the wall and just hops over it. Kizuna uses her fishing rod like a grappling hook. They walk through a small town resembling old-fashioned Japan. Kizuna explains that the different races and Deku that stood outside of town. That's when Deku pulls out Blue Rose, and Kizuna eyes widen as she gets stars in her eyes. Kizuna: do you never told me you can use other weapons instead of Cardinal one? Deku: more like I can, but it's mainly because I got 2 kinds of systems that merge into one that is now, just I'm not quite sure. The next day, Deku walks up to where the dragon hourglass is in that world, but then hears rumors about a powerful mage who can use it for teleportation when the cardinal heroes and the vassal weapon uses are the only ones that can see these. Them all gas, but as a tall blonde head kid, his hair very messy and spiky, wearing a military-like uniform with 2 giant grenades in the form of gauntlet on both of his arms with red eyes. Deku Kaken: but could go. Deku. The blonde-head boy looks at Deku, his eyes widening before he rockets with 2 explosions for repulsion. Flies right at Deku. Deku grabs him by his collar and slams into the ground. Everybody starts panicking as the guards get ready to attack. But Deku and Bakugo burst out laughing before Deku helps him up. Deku, how have you been cacking? Bakugo, dude, I haven't seen you in almost a year. Everybody looks at him confused, but that's when they head inside of the building, standing right next to the dragon arrow glass. Deku, so let me get this straight. You were getting attacked by villains, you are about to get your SHD ran by a giant bird-looking motherer, and then end up here without any knowing how you dig? Bakugo, yeah, that's pretty much it. So what are you doing here? Deku, tell Bakugo the story about how he got to the other world and how he ended up here. Deku blinks twice before shaking his head. He looks towards where the hourglass is to see a blue head man with two girls on his side. Kizuna, Izuku, you good? You kind of spaced out for a second. Deku, yeah, just for I saw somebody, but completely different. Deku looks up and starts to see the snow starting to fall. Deku, we should get in. It doesn't look like Ruby heading out or using the hourglass today. Kizuna, yeah, good idea. We cut to the end where they're sitting around a room, chatting. Deku closes the window before looking at her. Deku, you say we got just under 6 days till this world's wave. Wasting time, I mean I could wipe them out easily, but don't recall's ruckus that I'm going to have to sort out later. Kizuna, yeah, I agree. That night, they both sneak into the hourglass facility as soon as they get in. Deku immediately, when they're walking, they're about to open a door to the center of the building, but to see a stone wall, Deku immediately turn his head to see some guards with weapons. He casually grabs Kizuna by the back of her kimono and carries her while running around. Every door he checks is a solid wall. After 20 minutes of the running around, Deku has enough of it and then punches right through a solid wall as he sees the same blue head man and both of the girls standing on his sides. That's when plenty of guards come rushing in and surrounding Deku. Deku, well, I'm getting you work with dumbass shaggy white hair. Wears ridiculous outfit. Dumbass too. That isn't his name, but somewhat yes. We're business partners in exchange for capturing you. He funds my research on teleportation using the dragon glass. Deku, and I'm guessing he wanted me dead or alive. Kizuna, if you get me close enough, I can teleport us out of here with no issue. I don't think we could fight him. Deku, hey, second dumbass, how many cards do you have here? Well, how many of your allies are here in total? Dumbass 2, that's pretty simple. We have almost 300 men. Dumbass 2 lets out a huge burst of magic that brings Kizuna Chinese and sheer. Deku slowly walks forward, his hands in his pockets, as his outfit changes from his regular clothes to Shadow's robes. Deku, after handed to you, you have the most intense or I've ever seen. Dumbass 2, naturally. Deku, unfortunately, this is a terrible matchup. Deku's shadow slowly extends as all of his Shadow Knights appear, as well as Igris and Baru. Kizuna looks at all of them in surprise. Deku, and when I say that I mean for you, kill them all. Dumbass 2 hold both of his hands out, well, firing powerful spells that don't even face Deku. Deku slowly walks up to him and pulls back his fist before landing a strong punch square in his face, blowing his head off. Instantly, both of the girls panic, but to Deku practically teleports and rips their heads off. Deku turns around to see all of the guards completely dead, with his shadows bowing before re-entering his shadow. Deku, you ready to go? Kizuna, you gotta teach me how to summon those things. Deku, yeah, I can. It's kind of a job-specific skill that I got away before becoming the shield hero. Kizuna get up and walks to the dragon hourglass. Deku, standing next to her, an intense yellow glow. That's when a annoyed groan is heard through the entire building. Dumbass, are you kidding me? You were meant to bring it at least 2 of your slaves or your allies. But no, you have to be a lone wolf. You threw straight out the window. Deku, well, if it isn't dumb, but himself, you know, you're reminding me more and more of a cockroach, annoying pest that you can't get rid of, but trust me, when I find you, will make death have mercy on you. Dumbass, you're so irritating. You know what? Next time we meet will be your last. Deku, let's just say the next time we meet, not even God could save you. The golden aura dissipates before they get teleported. Deku instantly gets teleported away. Deku's vision gets slightly blurred before seeing a dragon hourglass, with rain falling. A while later, Deku's leaning against the wall with Kizuna, is talking with some nobles. When she mentions that Deku is the shield hero from another world, they all immediately get defensive, but Deku glares at them, his shadow spreading across the walls, casting a dark aura, making them all go quiet. Deku walks off, both hands in his pockets. That's when Deku looks straight out to see them, a white headman wearing some robes with a staff on a small hoverboard Kizuna, and explain their situation to him. Deku leans against the wall, listening again. That's when the white headman hands her its housemen that explode into a small blue penguin in her arms. Deku just looks at it before shrugging. Deku, you can drop the camouflage. Watches as a puff of smoke comes from the white headman as he turns into a rabbit, the rapid guy, then takes him outside as his hoverboard, then turns into a massive ship. When they get on it, the penguin points at a spot on a small globe. Deku, I'm guessing that's where Glass is. Kizuna, yeah, I'm guessing we're heading there next. Trevor, so I'm guessing you aren't human yourself. Kizuna, what are you talking about? Trevor, of course he's human. Deku, smiling, you look rabbit man. Yeah, I'm not human, more precisely, I'm a descendant of Sparta. They teleport to a small village resembling the one that they were at before. That's when the sun begins to set as Deku is walking around the city with Kizuna. Deku, his vim-pairing, all too familiar sound. He looks around in confusion before turning around and running in a direction. Eventually, he stands outside of a building with a picture of a blonde woman in a white dress with wings on display. Deku looks below inside of a cage and getting whipped. Deku's shield changes to the rage shield, his eyes turning crimson. Kizuna, I don't think anyone can hear what she's saying. We can't go rushing in. If we do, it could cause a scene. Deku, that's my daughter. Deku leaps onto the roof before sitting down. The rage shield, still active. Night approaches as the moon is up in the sky. Kizuna is sat next to Deku, slightly confused. Deku then hops down from the roof and walks through a field where cages of monsters. Decor walks straight up to the door and pushes it lightly, his strength breaking it instantly. Deku walked through the building. Every room he sees, he pushes the door open, destroying it. Eventually he gets into a room and sees a small bird inside of a cage with a bunch of talismans on it. And on the creature, Decor immediately walks up to it before crushing the cage and ripping the off. Philo transforms and starts sobbing in Deku's arms. That's when the same man as who Deku saw whipping her immediately rushes in before screaming in the blink of an eye. His head gets removed. Deku looks to see Baru munching on his head. Deku, info. Baru, well, mileage. He was just the son of a noble who wanted to make quick money by selling her. Shall I wipe out his entire bloodline? Deku, don't bother. A small time skip as Deku is sat in the forest with Philo. Deku is lying against the tree with Philo wrapped in a blanket and on his chest. Philo, are you awake? Deku, yes, I am. Alex, why didn't you protect her? That's when Deku notices that Alex is no longer in Philo's shadow. Philo, I'm sorry I didn't wait for Alex into my shadow. Well, I didn't want you to leave me behind, so I just jumped straight through. The next day, Philo has transformed into a tiny bird, no bigger than Deku's hand, and is sitting his cloak. Our Deku walks around the small village. Deku then notices a board. Thank you heads out of the town and start killing monsters as levels barely moving at all with this world weakness. We cut to a different location. Raftalia is in her smaller form. Wake up inside a cage that is more like a self. She sees Glass, Therese, and Lark tied up. She looks her hands to see giant cuffs almost the size of bricks around her hands. Raftalia, where am I? Glass, a prison by the dumbass himself. But what are you doing here? Raftalia, not sure. 1 second I was getting ready to leave, next second I was here. Therese, there's no point trying to escape. Is president absorbs manner, but for Grass, it's absorbing her life force itself. Raftalia stomped her foot in annoyance as Gabriel appears right behind her and simply swipes his sword, destroying the wall. At the same time, a wind blade slices all of their estrates. Raftalia, what are you doing in my shadow? Gabriel, well, I noticed your shadow was lacking any occupants, so I decided to set up inside of it. And before you ask, you weren't the only one. Summoned Philo was as well, but her shadow was empty. Lark, well, that was easy. That's when a guard comes rushing around the corner, pointing a spear towards Gabriel wings, his sword cutting the guard straight in half. They look up at the sky to see it's dark before hopping on his back and flying away in the night. They spend a few days leveling up Raftalia, gaining back their strengths. They hear about a katana being given out to the vassal hero, so they decide to go and check it when they get there. They see a blue headman claiming to be the rightful hero and walk straight to the katana that is stuck in stone. As soon as he touches it, a bright flash. Everybody is hopefully waiting for him to be chosen, but the sword appears in Raphtalia's hands as her other vassal weapon breaks apart into light. Before reforming around the katana vassal weapon, she starts to run away as guards begin to chase her until it gets late. Raphtalia notices her body has changed from her small form to her adult form, but slightly taller, and her level shut up from level 1 to her original. Level 96 Raphtalia is on top of a mountain, staring down the same blue-haired man. Dumbass too. You know, I'm getting really sick and tired of you otherworlders. First, there was that white head man who thought he ripped my head off, but yeah, he didn't, and now you who stole my katana. Raphtalia, just be quiet. That's when two lions with giant cuffs and a talisman on their heads walk up the mountain and growl at her with dumbass to laughing like an idiot. Raphtalia leaves town, getting in a quick draw stance. Dumbass too. What the hell are you doing? You can't win that exact copies of a sacred beast. Raphtalia, if I remember what MSTR Izuku called this move, you shall die. Raphtalia immediately disappears and reappears in the same spot, but we streaks of ice floating in the air, slicing through everything. Raphtalia, I am the storm that is approaching. The two white tigers immediately get sliced into millions of pieces, but somewhat crookedly. Raphtalia, if you're really trying to get that man's favor, well, you don't want to move a rice, you'll be ripped to shreds. Dumbass too. How is this possible? Who taught you a move like that? Raphtalia, my MSTR, I've seen him use it countless times, but never had the guts to try it, and mine was sloppy compared to his. So next time you see that man who was controlling the spirit tortoise, just be warned my MSTR is on his way, and he always finishes the fight. Dumbass too. You mean the man who can summon those shadows? Trust me, he's not going to be living long. Raphtalia continues to walk, completely ignoring him, trying to get his attention. When Raphtalia gets to the bottom of the mountain, she sees a lion twice the size as the other, but before she could move, she falls to her knees, using the katana as a brace. She prepares to die until a shield made of green light blocks the tiger's attack. Deku, I'll leave you alone for 5 minutes, and you end up in this situation. The giant white lion lets out a roar before its head gets removed by Igris. Kizuna lands next to them with Philo. Raphtalia, I'm sorry, I should have tried to find you. Deku, I seen your judgment cut sloppy, but it could pass for Sparta. Can I see you have another vasal weapon, but where's your other one? Raphtalia, my faster weapon kind of just turned into light when I got this one, and it kind of got absorbed by this one. Deku, Gabriel, thanks for watching her. Now we're all together. That's when Glass Therese and Lark runs over. That's when Travel appears, and they all hop on a ship. They're all on the ship as the sun begins to rise. Trevor, so you staying for the wave, or? Deku and his crew watch as Kizuna having a girl at Glass for not to telling her about traveling to his world and trying to kill them. Kizuna, and you, why haven't you told me about Glass trying to kill you? Deku, because she tried multiple times, but I've overpowered her every single time, and she's lucky I didn't have some devil trigger then in my weapons. The next day, all of them are walking through the town. Everybody's getting to get better equipment. They walk into a blacksmith where a redhead woman wearing a kind of revealing outfit is chatting with Kizuna. Kizuna, please, we need the gear now, since the wave is coming, and out of all of us, the only one who probably stand a chance is Izuku. What do you say, Lucy? Lucy, well, I can get everything sorted, we'll have to push it, but I can probably all get it sorted by tomorrow. That's when an explosion is heard outside, as Deku, the slightly curious, walks outside, and then see the green head woman with blue eyes tearing up the town. Trisha, I am Trisha, the right hand of Kyu, and for hurting him, you will die, shield hero. Deku, you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Trisha, you're the only one who has a cardinal shield. Deku, you know what, just cause you know the dumbass who keeps getting on my nerves, I'm not going to show you any mercy. Trisha, how cowardly challenging me to a fight and outnumbering me. Deku, okay, one-on-one, let's just hope you can survive my sword. Trisha, hold on, and you can weapon use it, which means you only use a shield. Deku, oh hell nah. Trisha rashes at Deku, has sword ready to pierce his chest. Deku, immediately holds his hand in a reversed grip motion as Venus de Noah appears in his hand, blocking her sword. Everybody looks at the sword that appeared in Deku's hand. Lucy looks at the blade, her eyes filled with intrigue. Deku casually moves his blade, knocking Trisha back into a wall. Deku, the rest of you stay behind shadows. Don't interrupt this beach. Once I fight, I'll give her a fight, and maybe throwing a judgment cut, if she's lucky. Trisha, just die. A powerful attack flies right towards Deku. Deku just raises an eyebrow and turns towards Glass, Therese, and Lark. Deku, Juna fight that from I took it's called Devil Trigger, but I have a perfected version sin Devil Trigger. Deku casually sidesteps Trisha's attack before newing her in the stomach and sending her back straight into the same hole as before. Deku, embrace the darkness deep within me. No hiding in the shadows anymore. When this wickedness consumes me, no hiding in the shadows anymore. Deku transforms into his Sin Devil Trigger form, towering over her with his sword on full display in its great sword form. He casually holds it on his shoulder with one hand as the purple glow from his body smokes up like purple flames. Deku, pull my Devil Trigger. Deku slowly walks towards Trisha. She gets out of the wall, BLD, trickling from her head, but her sword transformed into a more demonic-looking version as she screams and gets ready to charge. Deku turns his sword into its Cortana state and slowly quick draw stance with the blade going into his arm sheath. Deku, Raphtalia, you tried this move earlier. You couldn't perfect it. Watch closely, because if you blink you will miss. You shall die. Deku activate Judgment Cut. As Trisha is in mid-air mid-attack, Deku disappears and reappears flying right above her. While slowly, she thinks his sword, she immediately gets cut into billions of pieces, BLD, splattering everywhere. Deku, Baru, clean up her mess and gather all the information you can from it. Kazuna, we could have talked to her, but you. Deku, Baru has a great knee skill that allows him to both consume and getting all the skills as well as all the memories of anyone he consumes, meaning I don't need to waste time interrogating somebody for information that could or could not be true. Glass, you are holding back. I don't think I could even survive that. I'm a spirit. Deku, my sword can cut through anything including space and time, creating portals. The next day after they get this better equipment, Deku sticks with his stuff. Since his stuff goes up with his level, they all hop on Trevor's flying ship. Just before they could all hop on his ship, the sky turns right as swirls of energy start appearing. Deku, so the waves has begun. Everybody gets teleport to battlefields across. Deku looks around confused to see he's left alone. He shakes his head before jumping in the air as Infinite appears beneath him. As he flies towards the location, he asks for Raphtalia, and Philo Comfort. Deku stands there in Shadow's robes, flying through the air. Trevor's ship flies right next to Infinite. Deku walks across Infinite's swing before standing on Trevor's ship. Deku, so how far are we from the wave's core? Trevor, I can get a say in a few seconds. Why? Deku, teleport us to the core. Me and Miami's dealing with this wave, and we're dumbass. Deku teleports with Trevor straight above Glass, and all of Deku's squad fighting holds and hordes of monsters. As soon as Deku lands, he feels his shadow grow by over 20 times of what it was before. Glass, is good for you to join us. System, arise. Deku looks at the message confused until with the red sky and the swirls, purple portals open up everywhere. Monsters start flooding in from the trees, ripping apart both trees and each other. That's when purple portals start opening across the battlefield. That's when giant armies of dark figures start appearing from the purple portals. All the monsters stop in confusion and fear. Everybody is on standby, preparing for a fight, but Deku raises his hands. He walks right in front of the biggest one that looks to be in charge. The portals ripple as armies of shadows start appearing from the biggest one that looks to be in charge. Walks right in front of Deku. It's all four of its wings folded up as it glides intensely like it is staring at someone unknown. Before that you could do anything, it leads forward in vowels. Bellion, I am Bellion, the right hand of the original Shadow Monarch, and there's now you are my MSTR. So what is that command? Bellion gestures to over 100 million shadows that step through the portals. Over half of them enter Deku's shadow, with Deku's original army stepping out and preparing their weapons. Deku, I am the shadow monarch you all our army. Now, he's my command arise. Deku's shadow ripples as it extends, covering trees and mountains, as all of his army appears, and starts rushing at the ever-flowing wave of monsters, ripping them apart with ease. That's when Deku's ring glows as Koratia appears next to Deku, snapping her fingers as all of the insect monsters inside of the wave immediately snap their neck towards the closest non-insect and start ripping them apart. Deku walks slowly, his footsteps echoing. Withru, Igris Infinite, and Bellion walk right behind Deku. As soon as Deku gets to Kyu, base Deku snaps his fingers as Infinite swipes its tail, ripping the building to pieces. Deku walks through the holes, all of the creatures inside a containment chambers immediately being slaughtered and resurrected before they all turn and run out of the building to cause chaos against the wave. Deku enters a giant room with Kyu, is shaking in fear as Deku walks in Infinite flying above the building, keeping all of the monsters at bay easily. Kyu, just who the hell are you? You summoned over him, and you don't even look tired. Deku, my name is Izuku Sparta. I am the last descendant of Sparta and the successor to the Shadow Monarch. And you pissed me off for the last time. Kyu spreads demons like wings while holding his book as a beam of dark energy future straight towards Deku transforms into a Sin Devil trigger, his wings casually deflecting his attack. All of his containers around him start shattering and becoming amalgamations of powerful creatures with yellow name tags. But before anything could be said, decorated his hand as blade shining in the dim light, the cybernetic pattern from I Am. Atomic spreads across the building. Deku, like I said, you pissed me off, so... Kyu, just what the hell are you? You're not a human, you're not a demon, you're a monster. Deku, who am I? I am the shadows of the abyss. I am the all-ranging atomic. A bright pink light envelopes the building as the blast goes off, vaporizing everything. The way You've itself begins to crack as the power from Deku rips it in two. Eventually, the wave disappears with Deku's shadows, slaughtering each other quickly and painlessly. So they all return to Deku's shadow. Deku looks around at the giant crater, with the only things being left standing is a mirror and the book that Kyu was using. Deku walks out of the crater to see his crew looking at him in surprise. That's when Deku turns to his system and his eyes slightly widen but barely noticeable. System. Quest Original Monarch's army has been completed. One step left until player becomes the proper Shadow Monarch. Reward for Quest Infinite M.P. All 10 million of the original Shadow Monarch's army, 20,000 start points. Level up, X 100. Deku. I just leveled up over 100 times from that, and now my arm is over 10 million. Well, it looks like we'll be going home any second now. Glass. Well, we'll make sure we don't try and kill you, because I am not trying to face that army, especially after what it did to all those monsters. Therese. We'll see if we can find another way to stop our world from being destroyed, because we ain't fighting you, especially after you helped us. Lark. Dude, is there anything you could give us, so we could at least try and get on your level? Deku. Well, I have no use for these, so look after them. Deku casually snaps his fingers as 100 different kinds of shadows, some resembling bears, some resembling angels, and some other creatures immediately appear. Splitter and Interglass's crew shadows. That's when Deku and his party immediately gets teleported. A few days later, Deku is inside the castle, getting a medal by the queen. Deku. Well, I got more powerful, and I got more SHD on my sleeve. Motoyasu. Come on, how much more powerful could you be? Deku. I leveled up over 100 times. My shadow now has over 10 million soldiers in it. Issei. Who the hell is going to try and fight you now? Marinette. Dude, if you get any more powerful, God's going to have to come down here and try and nerf you. Inside of a black void with a flat screen TV and a comfortable couch, I sit there watching over it, my eyes wide slightly. The only thing next to me is a black-eared white wolf with red around its mouth, casually sitting on my head. My tail swishes as my ears twitch, my red and black wings flapping in the void, making no sound, but yet existing beyond time itself. Name Izuku Sparta. Age 15. Level 367. Quirk locked. Gender male. Height 5 feet 7 inches. Strength 589. Agility 1034. Vitality 377. Intelligence infinite. Luck 138. Perception 203. Shadow Army. Technoblade rank Legend. Igris rank Shadow God. Sam rank Knight Commander. Veldora rank Right Ace. 57 Shadow Knights rank Soldier. 200 Shadow Elves rank Knight. Alpha rank Knight Commander. Beta rank Knight Commander. Gamma rank Knight Commander. Delta rank Knight Commander. Epsilon rank Knight Commander. Zeta ranked Knight Commander. Eta rank Knight Commander. 3,272 Shadow Garden members rank Knight. Iron rank Knight Commander. 3 Shadow Mages rank Soldier. 9 Shadow Bears rank Soldier. Shadow Ants 5,765 rank Soldier. Godzilla rank Shadow God. Dialga rank Shadow God. 5 Angelic Assassins rank Elite Soldier. 297 Shadow Skeletons rank Knight. Baru rank Ace. Jackie rank General. Alex rank Elite. Knight 20,000 Shadow Angels rank. Knight Gabriel rank Elite Knight. Sonic the Hedgehog rank Elite Knight. Familiar. Name Espio. Age 185. Gender female. Height 7 feet 3 inches. System friends. Name Raphtalia. Age adult. Demi-human species perk when leveling up appearance will change, including age. Add-ons. Name Cash. Species Spider Demi. Human. Name Rampage. Species Wolf Demi-human. Titles. One who overcame death every percent of HP, he loses exchanges percentage into damage. King of the Monsters. When this tank always equipped any monster-based shadow will have a 10% increase in XP gain for the player. Shadow, when in a dark environment, HP will double, MP will triple. Skills. Shadow Extraction level max, can take any shadow from any creature. Shadow Storage level max, unlimited amount of shadows. Perseverance level 3, when on 1 HP, forget the effect immortality for 60 seconds and regen 1% max H.P as long as effect immortality is active 1 hour cooldown. Bloodlust level max, reduce the enemies attacked by 30% and decrease defense by 30%. I Am the Storm, that is approaching level max, requires a sword, get into a quick draw stance. And Unchi Fit, you will teleport right behind your enemy, while dealing 1 million slashes total attack damage, x 1060 seconds, cool down 60 seconds from where battle begins. Summon Familiar level 5, summon your familiar from anywhere. I Am Atomic level max, isolate a place by marking it with an atomic explosion that will eradicate anything in the isolated zone. Tactical Nuke, when the player gets a 30 kill streak, the nuke will be on standby warning. If Perverance is activated, Tactical Nuclear Reset, Tactical Nuke will do 0 damage to allies to the player. Deadshot, level 2 accuracy plus 15%. Manner Shot level max, turn 1 M.P into 1,204 bullets. Cry of the Phoenix, you have it locked too. Infantry Shadow, your inventory can now be shared with your shadows, and they can put items in. Unlocked Monarch Domain level max, cost 1% of max M.P. With a player sees as the battlefield, Monarch Domain will cover all shadows, will have a 100x increase in stat. Shadows will be twice as strong and cost 0.1 M.P. To resurrect XP will be tripled in Monarch's Domain. Shadow Manipulation, you can now manipulate your shadow at will. Passive 0M.P. Gravity Slam, a circle appear on the ground that you can force gravity to be 100x stronger, cost 200 M.P. Ruler's Authority level 1 passive skill, create a hand of pure energy that you can manipulate like it your own. Devil Trigger level max, become your devil form for 20 minutes. All your stats will be increased by X. 500 warning skill will go on a 10-minute cooldown. Every kill will bring it down by 1 second. Soul Blade, turn your soul into swords that you can manipulate that will cast 100 M.P. Demon Stance, separate human from Devil Trigger while using Demon Stance. Your XP will be tripled. Devil Arms, after defeating Gay Bars, there is a chance the boss will turn into a Devil Arms. Phoenix Drive, passive fire immunity, 100% Phoenix regeneration, level 1, regenerate 5 H.P per 0.6 seconds. Cry the Phoenix level max. Not only can you sacrifice 1% of your max H.P to create a Phoenix, you can now cry Phoenix tears. Send Devil Trigger your perfected Devil Trigger. In this state, you'll negate 99% of all attacks. All stats will be times by your level M.P. Infinite stamina, infinite HP will be times by player's level. Weapons. Send Devil Trigger Longsword. This sword is made from the player's sword, is completely indestructible, and uses the same traits as both Black Rose Sword and Yamato, but being able to appear whether in Send Devil Trigger, or regular form sword has 3 transformations. Great Sword. Your sword will triple in size, and becoming an infernal blade temperature could be between -100 degrees Celsius to 10,000 degrees Celsius. Katana will make the blade as thin as paper, but indestructible, will increase the player agility by x25 and will be dealing ice damage that can instantly freeze your opponent solid, while being sliced into atoms. One-handed long sword blade will have the same properties as listed not in the other states, but would be passive of lifesteal. When Playa lands a hit on an enemy player, will gain 100% of their H.P to regenerate your own long sword boat. Apply Venom's Dagger Poison, rank 2, deal 1% of max HP damage per 2 seconds, effect 20 seconds. Each hit will refresh the timer. Black Rose Sword Attack 40. When holding sword, anyone who attacks will take 0.1% of damage with every hit. Original Yamato Attack, damage infinite, a sword that can cut through anything and create portals. Night Slayer does x2 damage on armed opponents. Venom's Dagger Attack, 100, blade that is covered in a deadly poison, deals 1% of max HP damage every 30 seconds. Cardinal Shield can absorb materials for a different shield. Every End Ivory 2.0 to custom-made 45 long sides, what are a mix of Desert Eagle's regular 45 long slides and Glock 19. Every End Ivory original to 45 long slides used by the Sparta family. These weapons have been passed down through 2 generations, can turn 1 M.P into 1 bullet. BFG the Big gun that shoots a bowl of energy that vaporizes anything in its path. Unlimited uses, cost 5% of max M.P. Blue Rose Double Barrel Revolver Weapon has armor piercing grounds that can pierce 90% of armor's. Warning, will not pierce holy armor, will damage holy armor. Outfit. Shadow's Robes, when wearing them in a dark environment, will negate 99% of damage. Health regen 5% per second, mana weaken 5% per second. When in a bright environment, stats will be halved. 1 normal, 2 elite, 3 soldier, 4 knight, 5 elite soldier, 6 elite knight, 7 commander, 8 general, 9 legend, 10 right-hand commander, 11 ace, 12 shadow god, 13 marshal, 14 finally grand marshal. Thank you for joining us on this journey through What If Deku Was Mirko's Son with leveling system. We hope you found it as captivating as we did. A big thank you to Wolf React for creating such an engaging story. Don't forget to visit their profile on Wattpad for more fantastic works. The link is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Zen and Fanfics for more intriguing explorations into fanfiction and fantasy. Your support helps us create more content like this, and we love hearing your thoughts and suggestions in the comment section. See you soon in the next video.